破壊のどっか敵は
Yeah. Alright, so Biden's supposed to do his first fucking press conference today. Here, I'm gonna turn it on. Make sure it's not already happening. Oh fuck, it is already happening. Son of a bitch.
For the first time in a long time, this country's working.
Well, fuck me.
Actually got a raise. People for the bottom 40% saw their income go up the most of all those that got a raise. We cut health insurance premiums for millions of American families, and we just made surprise medical bills illegal in this country.
I didn't think he was gonna be on already.
You know those bills you get?
I just looked a second ago anyway.
$5,000 from the hospital beyond what you thought you were going to have to owe because the consultation you weren't told was going to cost that much? No more. They're now illegal. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan and other actions we've taken, we've seen record job creation, record economic growth in the past year. Now, thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure bill, we're about to make a record investment in rebuilding America to take us to be number one best infrastructure in the world.
I really want to put the goddamn
link in my Discord. Creating better jobs for millions of people, modernizing our roads, our bridges, our highways, our ports,
you know what?
Our airports. Everything from
I think it matters if I do this real quick.
Clean water, removing lead pipes, that every American can turn on
Ass pipes.
Clean water. Urban and rural and suburban communities. It's going to make affordable high-speed internet available to every American in urban, rural, and suburban areas.
Right.
We've never done that
before. Fucking...
Now we are.
That's... The process we've never done that before.
Still, for all this progress,
fucked up.
There's a lot of frustration and fatigue in this country.
Copy.
And we know why. COVID-19. Omicron has now been challenging us in a way that it's the
All
new
right.
way.
Just putting this in the
But
Discord.
while it's cause
You can hear it,
for
right?
concern, it's
You
not
can see
cause for
Biden's
panic.
stupid fucking face.
We've been doing everything we can, learning and adapting as fast as we can,
You see
and
my
preparing
stupid
for a
fucking
future
face
beyond the
instead.
pandemic. All I know that after almost 2 years of physical, emotional, and psychological weight of this pandemic and the impact it's had on everyone, for many of us, it's been too much to bear. We're in a very different place now, though. We have the tools, vaccines, boosters, masks, tests, pills, to save lives and keep businesses and schools open. 75% of adults are fully vaccinated.
Yes,
We've gone from 90 million adults with no shots in arms last summer
Let's go.
and down to 35 million with no shots as of today.
Oh,
And we're adding about 9 million more vaccinations each week. We're going to stick with our vaccination efforts because vaccinations work. So get vaccinated, please, and get your booster. Look, we're also increasing testing. Should we have done more testing earlier? Yes. But we're doing more now. We've gone from 0 at-home tests a year ago to 375 million tests on the market in just this month. If you buy a test at a store, your insurance will reimburse you. On top of that, we're making 1 billion at-home tests available for you to order and be delivered to your home for free. Just visit covidtest.gov to know how to get that free test kit to your home. In addition, there are 20,000 sites where you can get tested in person for free now. And now we have more treatments that people can, for people to keep people out of the hospital than any other point in the pandemic, including life-saving antiviral pills. We purchased 20 million of these new Pfizer pills,
20
more than any country in the world. The bottom line on COVID-19 is that we're in a better place than we've been and have been thus far, clearly better than a year ago. We're not going back to lockdowns. We're not going back to closing schools.
Why?
Schools should stay open.
They should.
Because the American Rescue Plan, we provided to states $130 billion. $130 billion to keep our students and educators safe and schools open. Funding for ventilation systems in schools, social distancing, hygiene for classrooms and the school buses. In addition, we've added another $10 billion for COVID-19 tests to be able to be administered at schools. And many states and school districts have spent this money very well. Unfortunately, some haven't. I encourage the states and school districts that use the funding to protect our children and keep our schools open. Use it. The COVID-19 is not going to give up and accept things. It's not going to go away immediately. But I'm not going to give up and accept things as they are now. Some people may call what's happening now the new normal. I call it a job not yet finished. It will get better.
It's too loud, huh?
COVID-19 won't disrupt our daily lives. For COVID-19 won't be a crisis, but something to protect against and a threat. Look, we're not there yet, but we will get there. Now, the second challenge we're facing are prices. COVID-19 has created a lot of economic complications, including rapid price increases across the world economy. People see it at the gas pumps, the grocery stores, and elsewhere. So, here's what we're going to do. The critical job of making sure that the elevated prices don't become entrenched rests with the Federal Reserve, which has a dual mandate: full employment and stable prices. The Federal Reserve provided extraordinary support during the crisis for the previous year and a half. Given the strength of our economy and the pace of recent price increases, it's appropriate, as the Federal Chairman Powell, the Fed Chairman Powell has indicated, to recalibrate the support that is now necessary. I respect the Fed's independence, and I've nominated 5 superb individuals to serve on the Federal Board of Governors, men and women from a variety of ideological perspectives. They're eminently qualified, historically diverse, and have earned bipartisan praise. I call on the United States Senate to confirm them without any further delay. And here at the White House, and for my friends in Congress, the best thing to tackle high prices is a more productive economy with greater capacity to deliver goods and services to the American people. And a growing economy where folks have more choices and more small businesses compete and where more goods can get to market faster and cheaper. I've laid out a three-part plan to do just that. First, fix the supply chain. COVID-19 has had a global impact on the economy. When a factory shuts down in one part of the world, shipments to shops and homes and businesses all over the world are disrupted. COVID-19 has compounded that many times over. A couple of months ago, in this very room, we heard dire warnings about how the supply chain problems could create a real crisis around the holidays.
Yo, what's up, Mr.
Brandon?
Brandon?
Business and labor. And that much predicted crisis did not occur.
No. Wait, what?
Shelves were stocked. And notwithstanding the recent storms that have impacted
Listen and fucking.
The share of goods in stock at stores is 89%.
And things are normal, yeah.
Which has barely changed from the 91% before the pandemic. I often see empty shelves being shown on television.
Yeah, just listening to Joe Biden's fucking first speech of the year. It's probably gonna be fucking boring, but
My infrastructure law will
we'll
supercharge
see
effort
how it
upgrading
goes.
everything from roads and bridges
What's going on with
to ports and
you?
airports, railways and transit to make the economy move faster and reduce prices for families. Second thing, my Build Back Better plan will address the biggest cost of working families face every day. No other plan will do more to lower the cost for American families. It cuts the cost for childcare. Many families, including the people sitting in this room, if they have children and they're working full-time, many families pay up to $14,000 a year for childcare in big cities, less than that in smaller ones. My
Yeah,
plan
that's
cuts that in
fucking
half.
crazy, dude.
That will not only be a game changer for so many families' budgets, but it will mean so much for the nearly 2 million women who've left the workforce during the pandemic because of things like childcare.
Mostly working today.
My Build Back Better plan cuts the price
Oh,
of
damn,
prescription
okay.
drugs. So insulin, that today costs some people as much as $1,000 a month, will cost no more than
That's cool.
$35 a month. It cuts the cost of elder care. It lowers energy cost. And it will do all this without raising a single penny in taxes on people making under $400,000.
What up,
or
Hellbound?
raising the deficit.
The
In
voting
fact,
rights?
my plan cuts the
I
deficit.
assume he's gonna talk
Boost the
about
economy
that,
by
but this is just his first press conference like of the year, so
Twice 17 Nobel Prize winners for economics say it will ease long-term inflationary pressure. The bottom line, if price increases are what you're worried about, the best answer is my Build
Back Better,
plan.
yeah.
Third thing we're going to do, promote competition. Look, in too many industries, a handful of
Good
giant
luck,
companies
Joey D.
dominate the
Yeah, I
market
mean,
in sectors
better
like
than
meat
nothing,
processing,
but-
railroad shipping, and other areas. This isn't an new issue.
Honestly, I didn't expect
It's
anything
not
from
been the reason
Biden.
We've had high inflation today. It's not the only reason. It's
So
been happening
anything
for
he
a
does
decade.
do is going to be more than I
Over
expected.
time, it has
You
reduced
know,
competition, squeezed out small businesses and farmers, ranchers, and increased the price for consumers. We end up with an industry like the meat processing industry, where 4 big companies dominate the markets. Pay ranchers less for their
drag
cattle
on.
than
Yeah,
beef,
they all do
charge
that.
consumers more for beef, hamburger meat, whatever they're buying.
I feel like
Prices are up.
that's their thing, is to drag shit
I'm
on
a
and on.
capitalist. But capitalism without competition is
Capitalist.
not capitalism. It's exploitation.
And fuck,
So I signed an executive
capitalism
order
is
to
exploitation in
competition
general.
in our economy. We're going to continue to enforce it, along with working with Congress.
Motherfucker
where we
is
can.
simping for capitalism in the
Close with
first.
this.
What is he? Oh, he's
We face
closing
some of
already?
the
What the
biggest
fuck? He
challenges
just started.
that we've ever faced in this country these past few years. Challenges to our public health.
So you're not going to talk about
Challenges
voting
to our
rights?
economy. But we're getting through it. And not only are we getting through it, we're laying the foundation for a future where America wins the 21st century by creating jobs at a record pace. Now we need to get inflation under control. We have developed an extraordinarily effective booster shots and antiviral pills.
Yeah.
Now we need to finish the job to get COVID.
Blackmail.
I've long said
I mean,
it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people, America. I believe that more than ever today. We've seen the grit and determination of the American people this past year. But the best days of this country are still ahead of us, not behind us. I'm happy to take questions.
yeah, obviously. I mean, I hope so. I don't know.
I know some of my colleagues will get into some specific issues.
Climate change is gonna fuck everything up.
In office. Inflation is up. Your signature domestic legislation
People
is stalled
shushing that guy.
because in a few hours from now, the Senate, an effort in the Senate to deal with voting rights and voting reform legislation is going to fail. COVID-19 is still taking the lives of 1,500 Americans every day, and the nation's divisions are just as raw as they were a year ago. Did you overpromise to the American public what you could achieve in your first year in office, and how do you plan to course correct going forward?
Why are you such an optimist?
Yeah.
Look,
What the fuck? Why are you
I
such an
know
optimist,
optimist.
Jack?
And what I have probably
The fuck?
outperformed what anybody thought would happen. The fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where we have made enormous progress. You mentioned the number of deaths from COVID.
We have.
Well, it was 3 times that not long ago. It's coming down. Everything's changing. It's getting better. Look, I didn't overpromise, but I think if you take a look at what we've been able to do, you'd have to acknowledge we made enormous progress. But one of the things that I think is something that, one thing I haven't been able to do so far is get my Republican friends to get in the game of making things better in this country.
Or your fucking
For example,
Democrat
I was reading
friends
the other
like
day,
Cinema
I
and
wrote the quote
fucking
I don't
Manchin.
misquote him. A
Although they're
quote from
basically
Senator Sununu
Republicans, but
when he decided that he wasn't going, Governor Sununu, when he decided he wasn't going to run for the Senate in New Hampshire. Here's what he said. They were all, for the most, quote, they were all, for the most part, content with the speed at which they weren't doing anything.
so he's not gonna get the Republicans
It was
to
very
do
clear
anything.
that we
but-
just had to hold the line for 2 years. Okay, so I'm just going to be a roadblock for the next 2 years? That's not what I do, Sununu said. He went on to say it bothered me that they were
fuck
okay
is
with
this?
it. Then he goes on to say, I said, okay, so we're not going to get stuff done if we win the White House back, Why didn't we do anything in 2017 and 2018? And then he said, how the Republican Sununu spoke to answer the challenge? He said, crickets, yeah, crickets. They had no answer.
Yeah, so why are you trying to work with them then?
That there'd be such a
They don't have any answers about anything.
to make sure that the most important thing was that President Biden didn't get anything done. Think about this. What are Republicans for? What are they for? Name me one thing they're for.
Pieces,
And so
being pieces of
the
shit.
problem here is that I think what happens, what I have to
Or
do
for
in the
discrimination.
change in tactic, if you will.
I don't know.
I have to make
Transphobia.
clear to the American people what we are for. We've passed a lot. We passed a lot of things that people don't even understand what's all that's in it, understandable. Remember when we passed the Affordable Care Act and everybody
Yeah.
thought that, it really was getting pummeled and beaten, and it wasn't until after we were out of office and that next campaign, when that off-year campaign, and I wasn't in office anymore. We went a whole bunch of districts campaigning for Democrats and Republican districts who said they wanted to do away with health care, with Obamacare. And I started pointing out that if you did that, pre-existing conditions would no longer be covered.
Yeah, well,
I said, huh?
didn't you say you were going to do a public option, dude?
We didn't know that. And guess what? We won over 38 seats because we had explained to the people exactly what, in fact, had passed. And one of the things that I remember saying, and I'll end this, I remember saying to President Obama when he passed the Affordable Care Act, I said, you ought to take a victory lap. And he said, there's so many things going on, we don't have time to take a victory lap. As a consequence, no one knew what the detail of the legislation was. They don't know.
I said, you ought to take a victory lap.
So the difference is I'm going to be
For
on the
Obamacare?
road a lot, making the case around the country.
It's a Republican
with my
fucking
colleagues who are up for re-election, and
healthcare
others,
bill.
making the case of what we did do and what we want to do.
They totally scrapped what
And so
Obama
I don't
was.
think I've overpromised at all, and I'm going to stay on this track. You know, one of the things that I remember, and I'll end this with, I was talking with
Yeah, you said that like 5 minutes ago.
Jim Clyburn, who was a great help to me in the campaign in South Carolina. And Jim said, and when he endorsed me, and there was a clip on television the last couple of days of Jim, and it said that we want to make things accessible and affordable for all Americans. That's healthcare. That's education. That's prescription drugs. That's making sure you have access to all the things that everybody else has. We can afford to do that. We can't afford not to do it. So I tell my Republican friends, here I come. This
Yo, what up, Jesse? Let's go, Chump.
I'll lay out what we're for. Mary Bruce, ABC.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned your Republican colleagues, but right now your top two legislative priorities, your social spending package and voting rights legislation, are stalled, blocked by your own party after months of
Yo,
negotiation.
chilling like a
mug.
mug.
Of Washington for one more year before the midterms.
Watching Obama's Obama.
And scale down these priorities.
God damn it, he
in
fucked
order
me. He
to
got me
get
fucked up with
something passed.
Obamacare.
No,
Biden's stupid
I don't
fucking
think so.
conference.
When you say more realistic, I think it's extremely realistic. To
Hell
say
yeah,
because
Jesse, the house.
you all really know the politics in this country and your networks and others. You spend a lot of time, which I'm glad you do, polling this data, determining what the American people's attitudes are, etc. American people overwhelmingly agree with me on prescription drugs. They overwhelmingly agree with me on the cost of education. They overwhelmingly agree with me on early education. They overwhelmingly go on the list on child care. And so we just have to make the case of what we're for and what the other team's not for. Look, we knew all along that a lot of this was going to be an uphill fight. And one of the ways to do this is to make sure we make the contrast as clear as we can. And one of the things that I think is we're going to have to do is just make the case. I don't think there's anything unrealistic about what we're asking. I'm not asking for castles in the sky. I'm asking for practical things the American people have been asking for a long time. A long time. And I think we can get it done.
You're not going to scale down any of these priorities, but so far that strategy isn't working. You haven't been able to get some of these big legislative ticket items done.
I got two real big ones done, bigger than any president has ever gotten in the first year.
But currently, Mr. President, your spending package, voting rights legislation, they're not going anywhere. So
That's true.
Is there anything that you are confident you can get signed into law before the midterm elections?
Yes, I'm confident we can get
Oh, you were about to watch this
pieces,
too?
big chunks of the Build Back Better
Fuck
law
yeah.
signed into law.
I'm
And
glad you're here,
confident we can
homie.
take
Yeah,
the case
I
to
was
the American people that the people they should be voting for.
I was about to watch it
oversee
too,
the
and I was
elections.
like, fuck, I might as well just stream it. I'm not, you know, and watch it by myself and talk about it later and shit. And then later, I'm gonna do what the fuck. We're gonna do what the fuck Wednesday stream. Fuck yeah.
What's going on the?
I got some good shit for that.
On voting rights and the John Lewis bill.
Hopefully, it doesn't get taken down. My last what the fuck Wednesday I put up, dude. I guess I gotta be careful, like what I watch on there. I don't know if that's how they got me or
I
what.
know many things that have been done in
The biggest ever than anybody ever. Yeah, I know.
And so I think the most
We got the
important thing
biggest
to do
things
is
done.
try to inform, not educate, inform the public of what's at stake in stark terms, and let them make judgments and let them know who's for them and who's against them.
Who's
there,
against
who's
them?
not there.
Who's
And
against
make
them?
that the case, and that's what I'm going to be spending my time doing in this off-year election.
You mentioned Republicans and reaching out to them. Some Republicans who may be open to major changes on voting rights, for instance, like Mitt Romney, he says he never even received a phone call from this White House. Why
Well,
not?
I like Mitt. Look, Mitt Romney's a straight guy. He's one of the things that we're doing, I was trying to make sure we got everybody on the same page in my party on this score. And I didn't call many Republicans at all. The fact is that I do think that Mitt is a serious guy. I think we can get things done. I predict to you they'll get something done on the electoral reform side of this. But rather than judge what's going to get done and not get done,
You've been banned.
all I can say is I'm going to continue to make the case.
You've been banned too? Yeah, dude.
To not turn the electoral process over to political persons who are set up deliberately to change the outcome.
I still haven't heard anything from my fucking appeal yet either. I don't know what's going on.
Allison Harris, please.
Allison Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking of voting rights legislation, if this isn't passed, do you still believe the upcoming
Now we're gonna talk
election
about
will be fairly conducted and its results will be legitimate?
Well, it all depends on
not fairly conducted.
whether or not
The results are always legitimate, no matter, you know.
the case to the American people.
But fairly
This is being
conducted
set up
is
to
a
try to alter the outcome.
strong word.
And it's one thing.
Strong words for
Maybe I'm just being too much of an optimist.
voter suppression.
Remember
Yeah,
how we
well.
thought not that many people were going to show up to vote in the middle of a pandemic? We had the highest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. Well, I think if, in fact, no matter how hard they make it for minorities to vote, I think you're going to see them willing to stand in line and defy the attempt to keep them from being able to vote. I think you're going to see the people who try to keep from being able to show up, showing up and making the sacrifice it needs to be made in order to change the law back to what it should be. But it's going to be difficult. I make no bones about that. It's going to be difficult. But we're not there yet. We've not run out of options yet, and we'll see how this moves.
And on Omicron and education, teachers are in result in so
Oh, you got in trouble on Instagram.
Parents are at odds over closing schools and remote learning. You say we're not going to go back to closing schools.
First Amendment and suing them.
Yet they're
In your
closing
appeal?
schools. What do you say to those teachers and principals and parents about school closings? And what
Maybe that's what I should have said in my.
to help make up
We're gonna
for
sue you,
the lost
motherfuckers. Twitch.
First of all, I put in perspective the question you asked. Very few schools are closing. Over 95% are still open. So you all phrase the questions when people, I don't think it's deliberate on your part, but you phrase the question when anyone watches this on television. My God, there must be, all those schools must be closing. What are we going to do? 95% are still open, number one.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. What the fuck?
The idea that parents don't think it's important for their children to be in school.
Just winging
The
it.
teachers know it as well. That's why we made sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did with the appeal
Provide the funding.
on Twitch. Oh, actually, Mr. Braindead wrote most of it for me. Because I can't write shit like
To
that.
be able to make sure schools were able to be
And I
safe.
tried to make it.
So we have new ventilation systems.
He
available for them.
made it like real
The way
libby.
they handle
And then I made it even
shutdown
more fucking
laboratories and I mean, the laboratories
libby
kids go to
sounding
go to the bathroom,
to try to
cafeterias,
my channel back.
buses, etc. All that money's there. There's billions of dollars made available. It's there. Not every school district has used it as well as it should be used, but
30-day
it's
suspension.
there. And so, in addition to that, there is now another $10 billion for testing of students in the schools. So I think as time goes on, it's much more likely you're going to see that number go back up from 95%, back up to 98, 99%. But the outfit, the individuals of the district that says we're not going to be open is always going to get, and I'm not being critical of any of you, it's always going to get front page. It's always going to be the top of the news. But let's put it in perspective. 95, as high as 98% of the schools in America are open, functioning, and capable of doing the job. How about Jen Epstein, Bloomberg?
Epstein?
Thank you.
What?
Your top foreign policy advisors have warned that Russia is now ready to attack Ukraine, but there's still little unity among European allies about what a package of sanctions against Moscow would look like.
If the U.S. and NATO aren't willing to put troops on the line to defend Ukraine and American allies can't agree on a sanctions package, hasn't the U.S. and the West lost nearly all of its leverage over Vladimir Putin? And given how ineffective sanctions have been in deterring Putin in the past, why should the threat of new sanctions give him pause?
Yeah, I don't think it's going
Because
to.
he's never seen sanctions like the ones I promised would be imposed if he moved, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where Vladimir
Nah,
Putin
not
is
so
about
far.
to, we've
He
had
hasn't
very
mentioned
frank
Trump
discussions,
once.
Vladimir Putin, and the
As a
idea,
matter of fact, I don't think he's going to, because he got roundly criticized for on January 6th talking shit on Trump, when that's fucking ridiculous. Like, obviously Trump fucking started that riot, and he was just calling him out on it, basically. And second of all, that's all fucking Trump did, was talk shit on people. So, like, all the Republicans be like, oh, he said he wants to do unity, but he's talking shit on Trump. It's like, dude, that's all fucking Trump ever did, was talk shit.
a disaster for Russia if they further engage you.
So, I think because he got criticized, he's not going to say anything this time.
Severe cost and significant harm on Russia and the Russian economy.
Almost guarantee it.
And, you know, we're going to fortify our NATO allies. I told him on the eastern flank, if in fact he does invade, we're going to, I've already shipped over $600 million worth of sophisticated equipment, defensive equipment, to the Ukrainians. The cost of going into Ukraine in terms of physical loss of life for the Russians, they'll be able to prevail over time, but it's going to be heavy. It's going to be real. It's going to be consequential. In addition to that, Putin has a stark choice. He either de-escalation or diplomacy, a confrontation of the consequences. And look, I think you're going to see, for example, everybody talks about how Russia has control over the energy supply that Europe absorbs. Well, guess what? That money that they earn from that makes about 45% of the economy. I don't see that as a one-way street. They go ahead and cut it off. It's like my mother used to say, you're biting your nose off to spite your face. It's not like they have all these wonderful choices out there. I spoke with the Prime Minister of
Fucking
Finland.
Biden.
And, you know, we're talking about
Abolish malarkey,
concern
Jack.
on the part of Finland and Sweden about what Russia is doing. The last thing
Look, fat.
that Russia needs is Finland deciding to change its
Abolish
status. They don't say
malarkey,
they're gonna
Jack.
do that. But they're talking about what, in fact, is going on and how outrageous Russia is being. We're finding ourselves in a position where I believe you'll see that there'll be severe economic consequences. For example, anything that involves dollar denominations, if they invade, they're going to pay. They're not going. Their banks will not be able to deal in dollars. So there's a lot's going to happen. But here's the thing. My conversation with Putin, and we've been, how can we say it? We have no problem understanding.
Man, for both sides. I know it's stupid for both sides to fuck around.
And the direct conversations were, I pointed out, I said, you know, you've occupied before other countries, but the price has been extremely high. How long? You can go in and, over time, at great loss and economic loss, go in and occupy Ukraine. But how many years? One?
Yeah, you would
3,
think as humans we would be
2.
over this whole, like,
What is that going to take? What toll does that take?
fucking with other countries. Like,
so this is not all just a cakewalk for Russia. Militarily,
I don't know, military posturing bullshit.
As it relates to Ukraine. But they'll pay a stiff price immediately, near term, medium term, and long term if they do. I'm sorry. Okay.
What up, Gio?
David Sanger, New York Times.
Biden is an idiot. True.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to follow up on your answer there.
Fuck Joe Biden.
When you were in Geneva in June, you said to us about President Putin, I think the last thing he wants now is a Cold War. Now, since then, of course, you've seen him gather these troops, 100,000 troops
Yeah.
around Ukraine.
Yeah, totally.
The Secretary of
Just
State said today he thought he could invade it at any moment. You've seen the cyber attacks, and you've seen the demand that he have a sphere of
I think
influence.
the U.S.
in
should
Ukraine
intervene
withdraw
in Ukraine. I'm not
all
saying
American
I'm not
troops
saying
from
the
Ukraine
U.S. I'm talking about
from
Russia,
the Soviet
really.
bloc. So I'm wondering if you still think that the
But,
last
I mean, it
thing
is headed
Cold
by
War. And
Vladimir
has your view of
Putin,
him
so.
changed in the past few months? And if it has, and he does invade, would your posture be to really move back to the kind of containment policy that you saw so often when you were still in the Senate?
The answer is that I think he still does not want any full-blown war, number one.
Free
Number
Ukraine,
two,
yeah.
Do I think he'll test the West, test the United States and NATO as
Yeah, no,
significantly
I
as
was
he can? Yes,
mainly
I believe.
criticizing Russia.
I think
Yeah,
we'll pay a serious and dear price for it that he doesn't think now.
I mean, Putin's just like a
Cost him what it's
fucking
gonna
crazy ass
But I think
dictator
he'll
over there.
regret
So
having done it. Now, whether or not, I think that, how can I say this in a public forum? I think that he is dealing with what I believe he thinks is the most tragic thing that's happened to Mother Russia, in that the Berlin Wall came down, the empire has been lost, the near abroad is gone, etc. The Soviet Union has been split. But think about what he has. He has 8 time zones, burning
Putin the
timber that will
punk,
not freeze
yeah.
again naturally. A situation where he has a
Putin the
lot of
punk,
oil and
bitch.
gas, but he is trying to find his place in the world between China and the West. And so I'm not so sure that he has.
stream in the red? Is it fucking up? It's not in the red on that I can tell.
David, I'm not so sure he has.
My shit's in the
certain
green right
what he's
now.
gonna do. My guess is he will move in. He has to do something. And by the way, I've indicated to him the 2 things he said to me that he wants.
It
guarantees
looks like shit,
One
but
Ukraine will never be part of NATO, and 2, that NATO there will not be strategic weapons stationed in.
yeah, it looks like total ass. But
We can
other
work
than
on something in the
that, it
second
seems
case.
okay.
Pretending what he does along the Russian line as well, the Russian border in the European area. On the first piece, we have a number of treaties internationally and in Europe that suggest that you get to choose who you want to be with.
Europe,
But the
Europe,
likelihood
Europe.
that Ukraine is going to join NATO in the near term is not very likely, based on how much more work they have to do in terms of democracy and a few other things going on there, and whether or not the major allies in the West would vote to bring Ukraine in right now. So there's room to work if he wants to do that. But I think, as usual, he is going to. Well, I probably shouldn't go any further, but I think it will hurt him badly.
Like you were offering some way out here, some off-ramp, and it sounds like what it is at least an informal assurance that NATO is not going to take in Ukraine anytime in the next few decades, and it sounds like you're saying we would never put nuclear weapons there. He also wants us to move all of our nuclear weapons out of Europe and not have troops rotating through the old Soviet bloc. Do you think there's space for there as well?
No, there's not space for that. We won't permanently station, but the idea we're going to actually increase troop presence in Poland, Romania, etc., if in fact he moves.
Oh,
Because
if
we
he
have
moved, okay. I
a
was like,
sacred
what?
obligation on Article 5 to defend those countries. They are part of NATO. We don't have that obligation relative to Ukraine, although we have great concern about what happens in Ukraine. Thank you. Maureen.
Yeah, mods are allowed to kick people.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted
Honestly, I haven't been getting chuds.
Build Back Better, and also ask you a question about the
The most chuds I got was when I fucking put Nick Fuentes in my description of the video. Man, I had mad fucking chuds in here over that. So I think I have to mention a chud that they like by name or something That's what I've been noticing so far, anyway. Kind of different from Twitch. I could just say something they don't like socialism is pog, and they'd be like in there, fucking triggered as fuck.
The Supreme Court decision I think was a mistake, but you still see thousands.
Here I have to
of
say, like, Nick Fuentes is a Nazi.
corporations having to be tested as a consequence of the decision made by.
I got a bunch of chuds for saying that.
Standard I said that is it. I think you'll see that increase, not decrease. Number one. What was the first part of your question?
On your comment that you made that you're confident
Yes.
that major chunks of Build Back
Yes.
Better can pass, are you breaking it up? Does that
Yes,
mean-
it's clear to me that we're going to have to probably break it up. I think that we can get, and I've been talking to a number of my colleagues on the Hill, I think it's clear that we would be able to get support for the $500+ billion for energy and the environmental issues that are there, number one. Number two,
Trump watching
I
this?
know that the two people
Probably not.
who are
I feel like he
opposed
wouldn't
on
be.
the Democratic side, at least.
Yo,
support a
what
number
up,
of
Minutes
things agreement. For
Dragon?
example, Joe Manchin strongly supports early education, 3 and 4 years of age. Strongly supports that. There is strong support for, I think, a number of the way in which to pay for these, this proposal. So I think there is. I'm not going to negotiate against myself as to what should and shouldn't be in it, but I think we can break the package up, get as much as we can now, and come back and fight for the rest later. Ken, Wall Street
Yeah,
Journal.
he's probably doing something like that, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about the economy. As you said earlier, Americans are feeling the squeeze of inflation.
Just got up.
Oil prices
Nice.
have been at about a 7-year high recently. How long should Americans expect to face higher prices when they're at the grocery store, when they're at the gas pump? Is this something
fucking-
that they're going to see into the summer, into next fall?
Probably
And-
forever,
and
right? It's
secondly,
inflation,
you
isn't it?
talk about the importance of the Fed, but isn't that an acknowledgement that you're limited in what you can do if you're relying on the Fed to make decisions and you're unable to get a Build Back Better proposal through? Aren't you simply limited in what you can do to deal with inflation?
Well, look, as you know, Ken, the inflation has everything to do with the supply chain. And I think what you're seeing is that we've been able to make progress on
Nah, not really.
speeding up the access.
He hasn't really
to
said anything
materials.
important
For
whatsoever.
example, 1/3 of the
Not a big tobacco fan? Do you mean big tobacco? Wait.
reason
Perfectly legal tobacco. Nah, that's what we call weed.
So we have the capacity, and we're going to do everything in our power to do it, to become self-reliant on the computer chips that we need in order to be able to produce more
As a
automobiles.
joke, you know.
That's underway. We've already
'Cause it's not
passed,
legal
in the
here,
context
so.
of another bill, money for that in the. In the
I'm
House
a
of
big tobacco
Representatives
fan.
Before the House of Representatives now.
But
I think there's a way we can move.
not,
to-
you know, not
if we
big
can
tobacco
move
as
to,
in.
For example, that one thing done, it can make a big difference in terms of.
I like
cost
smoking,
of-
is what I mean.
total cost of living. Now, with regard to the whole issue of energy prices,
The devil's lettuce, yeah.
that gets a little more complicated. But you saw what happened when I was able to convince everyone from including China, India, a number of other countries to agree with us to go into their version of their petroleum reserve. To release more. in
Yeah,
the
you're
market.
good.
So that brought down the price about 12, 15 cents a gallon in some places more. There's going to be a reckoning along the line here as to whether or not we're going to continue to see oil prices continue to go up in ways that are going up now relative to what impact that's going to have on the producers. And so it's going to be hard. I think that's the place where most middle-class people, working-class people get hit the most. They pull up to a pump and all of a sudden, instead of paying $2.40 a gallon, we're paying $5 a gallon. That's going to be really difficult. But so we're going to continue to work on trying to increase oil supplies that are available. And I think there's ways in which we can be of some value added in terms of the price of gas, natural gas and the like, to take the burden off the European countries that are now totally dependent on Russia. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. But I think that we have to deal with, for example, like I said, you have a circumstance where people are paying more for a pound of hamburger meat than they ever paid. Well, one of the reasons for that is you don't have that many folks out there that are...
Only 2 legs, yo. Nice, yeah.
And so you're going to see more and more, we're going to move in this competition piece.
Yes, like the video, please.
Operations to come in and
good point.
to engage in providing, buying and providing the access to much cheaper meat than exists now. But it's going to be a whole. Now, and as I assume the reason you said if I can't get Build Back Better relates to what those 17 Nobel laureate economists said, that if in fact we could pass it, it would actually lower the impact on inflation, reduce inflation over time, et cetera. So there's a lot we have to do. It's not going to be easy, but I think we can get it done, but it's going to be painful for a lot of people in the meantime. That's why the single best way to take
Spilly would be, yeah. Spilly would be an awesome president.
Pass the Build Back Better piece that are
Spilly be getting shit done.
Money for now. If you get to trade off higher gases, you're putting up with higher price of hamburgers and gas, versus whether or not you're going to be able to pay for education and or child care and the like.
Yo, Mati, Machungwa, what's up, homie?
But it's going to be hard, and it's going to take a lot of work.
Sir, you mentioned China.
We ain't doing shit, fam. See you next year. Yup.
Lifting some of the tariffs on Chinese.
Basically.
Or is there a need for China to make do on some of its
shit, Jack? We ain't doing jack shit.
Some business groups would like you to begin lifting up those tariffs on China.
Well, I know that, and that's why my trade rep is working on that right now. The answer is uncertain.
Do it for Spilly. Hell yeah.
We could say they're meeting the commitments, more of the commitments, and be able to lift some of it. But we're not there yet.
Let's do it for Spilly. Let's do it for him.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. This afternoon, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that the midterm elections are going to be a report card on your progress on inflation, border security, and standing up to Russia. Do you think that that's a fair way to look at it? And if so, how do you think that report card looks right now?
I think report cards can look pretty good if that's where we're at. But look,
new names.
Mitch is
not new, not really. You just haven't. I don't think you've been to the Twitch channel in a while.
I get on with Mitch. I actually like Mitch McConnell. We like one another, but he has one straightforward objective: make sure that there's nothing I do that makes me.
Yo, Nellis D, what up, homie?
With the public at large, and that's okay. I'm a big boy. I've been here before. But the fact is that I think that I'm happy
it's going
to debate
good.
And have a referendum on how I handle the economy.
Listen to this motherfucker's first speech of the year.
Progress on. Look, again.
Press conference, whatever.
I'm taking too long answering your questions. I apologize.
Accuser of the brethren. Oh.
I think that the fundamental question is, what's Mitch for? What's he for on immigration? What's he for? Accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker! What's he for? Dealing with Russia. It's different than I'm proposing that many of his Republican friends or his colleagues are supporting as well. What's he for on these things? What are they for? So everything's a choice. A choice. I think look, I've laid out a proposal on immigration that if we passed it, we'd be in a totally different place right now. But we're not there because we don't have a single Republican vote. My buddy John McCain's gone. So, I mean, it's just...
My buddy John McCain's gone. My buddy John
McCain.
McCain.
I go back to Governor Sununu's cool.
I don't think John McCain would have fucking did
Well,
anything either.
Rhetorical question. I know this is not fair to ask the press a question. I'm not asking you. But think about it. Did you ever think that one man out of office could intimidate an entire party where they're unwilling to take any vote contrary to what he thinks should be taken for fear of being defeated in a primary?
Yeah, I did.
5 Republican senators.
Dude, I knew the Trump cult was a cult
bump into me, quote unquote,
for
who've told me
a lot of people, I
agree
think.
with whatever I'm talking about for them to do. But Joe, if I do it, I'm going to defeat it in a primary. We got to break that. It's got to change. And I doubt you're all, sounds like I'm being solicitous, you're all bright as hell, well-informed, more informed than any group of people in America. But did any of you think, did you get to a point where not a single Republican would diverge on a major issue? Not one? Anyway.
Yeah.
Those 5
I saw that
Republican
coming.
senators are?
Sure. No, are you kidding me? I maintain confidentiality.
Oh yeah,
But
I was
I've
calling him a
heard
fascist
spoken
way before that. I mean, he was doing
Voting
fascist
rights
shit way
are-
before
At your
that.
first press conference 10 months ago, I asked you if there was anything you could do beyond legislation to protect voting rights. And at that time you said yes, but I'm not going to lay out a strategy before you and the world.
And people
now.
were saying I was being
Now
fucking
that
hyperbolic
legislation
by saying that.
appears
I'm
to
like,
be
dude, no.
hopelessly stalled.
Just look at the
Can
shit he's
you
doing.
now lay out your strategy to protect voting rights?
Well,
And then as soon as January 6th happened, yeah, then everybody was like, oh shit, yeah, he's a fascist.
Engage in and other things they can do. But one of the things we have done, we have significantly beefed up the number of enforcers in the Justice Department.
Beefed
who
up.
are there to challenge these unconstitutional efforts, in our view, unconstitutional efforts on the part of the Republicans to stack the election and subvert the outcomes. We have begun to organize in ways that we didn't before the communities beyond the civil rights community to make the case to the rest of the American people what's about to happen, what will happen if in fact these things move forward.
Oh
If I
yeah.
had talked to you, not you.
Motherfucker was
using you in other tools. If I've talked to
Motherfucker
a
was
public
goddamn bullhorning
the
shit.
whole idea
Wasn't even dog
of
whistling half the
subversion of
time.
Elections by deciding who the electors are after the fact. I think people would have looked at me like, whoa. I mean, I taught constitutional law for 20 years, a 3-credit course in separation of powers, and on Saturday mornings when I was a senator. And I never thought we'd get into a place where we were talking about being able to actually, what they tried to do this last time out, send different electors to the state legislative bodies to represent who
I
won the election,
ran
saying that I
down the
didn't know
ramp.
what Republican candidate won. I doubt if anybody thought that
No
would
way I
happen
could make it down
in
that
America
ramp.
in the 21st century, but it's happening. And so I guess what I'm saying is, Nancy, is that I think that there are a number of
Oh
things
man,
that can
Reagan.
go, but I also
Fuck,
think
dude.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be able
true.
to get significant
This whole, he made
pieces
that whole like
of
welfare
legislation if we
queens
don't get
thing
it now
popular.
to build to get it so
Yeah.
that we get
He was
a good chunk of
the
John Lewis legislation
beginning
as well
of
as
the destruction of the working class in
COVID, if you don't mind,
America.
you
I
touted
feel
the
like
number of Americans who
Reagan.
are now fully vaccinated with 2 shots, but even some of your own medical advisors say that people
Yeah,
aren't
motherfucker
fully
dead,
protected
though.
unless they have that 3rd shot.
Yeah.
A booster.
Finally.
Why hasn't this White House changed
I
the
mean-
definition of fully vaccinated to include that 3rd booster shot? Is it because the numbers of fully vaccinated Americans would suddenly look a lot less
No,
impressive?
it's not that at all. It's
You know, Trump was saying in his speech that we watched the other day that he said, now you can have abortions after birth. And I was like, we can? Can we abort Trump?
protection you can have. You're protected very well with 2 shots.
I say we
If
abort
it's
his
the
ass
Pfizer,
in
yeah,
Minecraft.
You're
Right.
protected. But you are better protected with the booster shot.
Nixon was pro-union. I know, what the fuck, when you're looking at Nixon for...
I'm following what the...
To be the voice of reason.
Yes, get the booster shot. It's all part of the same thing.
Get the booster shot. Yeah, no shit.
Okay, Alex, Alper, Reuters.
Yo, what up, Az?
Bloomberg, you said that Russia would be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion, and we end up having to fight about what to do and what not to do. Are you saying that a minor incursion by Russia into Ukrainian territory would not lead to the sanctions that you have threatened? Or are you effectively giving Putin permission?
I'm just, I don't know. I'm waiting for...
Good question.
I appealed to Twitch, so I'm waiting for them to get back to me on... no, that's not true. I'm waiting for them to get back to me about my appeal. I hope they say, oh yeah, that was stupid. But I have no idea. I'm not super confident in getting it back, but there's still a chance until they get back to me and tell me, no, fuck you, you're banned. Then it's just, I have no idea.
A big mistake. So the question is, if it's something significantly short of a significant invasion, or not even significant, just major military forces coming across. For example, it's one thing to determine that if they continue to
I know
to use cyber.
If I don't get it back, it's like I'm fucking starting over again, basically. Right, indefinite suspension. But also, I appealed it, so they might say, oh yeah, you can have it back, like you were... Because I got fucked over a joke, basically. I made a joke, and then someone said, oh, they're doing fucking hate speech or something, because I said a fucking joke. Like, so I wrote back to them, like, dude, I was making an obvious fucking joke. Like, no one in their right mind would think that I was being fucking serious. Like, this is ridiculous, you know?
To the dollar transactions and other things are things that are going to have a negative impact on the United States.
Slow as hell, yeah.
A negative impact on the economies.
And I'm sure they don't give a fuck about me because I don't make them a bunch of money and shit, you know?
Everybody's on the same page.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I keep looking in my email for an answer, but I haven't got one yet.
There's Russian forces crossing the border, killing Ukrainian fighters, etc.
I don't know. That would be cool if we could, Aztec. That'd be awesome. I don't.
Total unity on the NATO front.
Maybe that would be super cool.
To get your sense
if
of
people
whether
were
the Vienna talks are making any progress. If
messaging Twitch, I don't know.
To deal for both sides to resume compliance with the Iran nuclear deal, or if it's time to give up on that. Thank you.
Do it in reverse. It's not time to give up. There is some.
If we could, that'd be fucking awesome.
P5+1 is on the same page.
Oh, they haven't reviewed it yet, yeah.
Okay, Kristen, NBC.
But at least they didn't do like YouTube and just not review it and just fucking give me a strike anyway.
Issues, but on Russia, very quickly, it seemed like
YouTube just didn't review.
Assessed, you feel as though he will move in. Has this
so on this channel already, some chuds totally lied about what I did on a stream or a video that I posted. I said, they're lying. Like, I don't even, you know what the fuck they're talking about. And they're like, okay, we'll review the video. And like 5 minutes, it was a 2-hour video. And then 5 minutes later, they were just like, no, appeal was rejected. I was like, well, you motherfuckers didn't review the video. Like, it's 2 fucking hours long, and you hit me back in 5 minutes saying it reject. So they just believed whatever the fuck this person said to them. That they said I was doing self-harm, which is total fucking bullshit. Didn't even come close to doing that, but they gave me a strike for it anyway.
Russia. But I don't know whether he's decided he wants to do that or not.
So far, fucking Chud's got me on here too already.
Have not
it's crazy.
Anything, because the impression I get
Twitch headquarters.
National Security Advisor and my other senior officials that are doing these meetings, is that there's a question of whether the people they're talking to know what he is going to do. So the answer is, but
that would be cool as fuck. Yeah.
A number of
that might do something
as to what he could do. For example, for him to move in and occupy the whole country, particularly from the north, from Belarus, it's he's gonna have to wait a little bit.
The thing I got banned for on Twitch was such a fucking obvious joke. It's stupid that I can't believe I got fucking banned for that shit. You know.
For defense capacities to the.
So hopefully they review my shit and be like, oh yeah.
Talking about what's going on.
Obviously that's a joke.
The Baltic and the Black Sea, etc. There's a whole range of things that I'm sure he's trying to calculate how quickly he can do what he wants to do and what does he want to do. But he's not. He's an informed individual, and I believe he's calculating what the immediate
consideration letter for YouTube
and the near term and the long term consequences of Russia will be. And I don't think he's made up his mind yet.
That's true. I do deal with more hate. Like, it's crazy.
Questions about voting rights, Mr. President.
Well, they gave me a
black voters, one of your
warning,
constituencies.
Even though they didn't review anything and just believe the chud. But
yesterday in South Carolina,
if they give me an actual strike on my channel, I'm gonna.
To a number of black voters who fought to.
They said this one's just a warning. I'm like, well, I didn't fucking do anything.
Hard enough for them and their priorities.
And these motherfuckers.
They told me
then YouTube's sending me like, here's the suicide hotline number if you need help, and I'm like, motherfucker, I wasn't being suicidal on the fucking video. Like. They lied. Like, stop sending me shit.
Who say that you do not have their backs as you promised on the campaign trail.
I've had their back. I've had their back.
Fucked up, dude.
Career. I've never not had their back. I started on the voting rights issues long ago. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. And I think part of the problem is, look, there's significant disagreement in every community on whether or not the timing of assertions made by people has been in the most timely way. So I'm sure that there are those who are saying that why didn't Biden push John Lewis bill as hard as he pushed it the last month? Why didn't he push it 6 months ago as hard as he did now? The fact is that there is there's a timing that is not of one's own choice. It's somewhat dictated by events that are happening in country and around the world as to what the focus is. But part of the problem is, as well, I have not been out in the community nearly enough. I've been here an awful lot. I find myself
the algorithm.
In a situation where,
well, this was somebody made a report about me saying I was doing self-harm, which I didn't come anywhere near doing that. But so that was, it wasn't, yeah. But then they didn't review the video or anything. They just believed the chud who said that.
Who I am.
And
for example, I mean, as I pointed out in South Carolina.
At least the one good thing about the YouTube thing is that it's really hard to get perma banned on here, I guess.
I got strong feeling to vote for it. That's what I've been doing my whole career. And so the idea that I didn't either anticipate or because I didn't speak to it as fervently as they want me to earlier. In the meantime, I was spending a lot of time, spent hours and hours and hours talking with my colleagues on the Democratic side, trying to get them to agree that if in fact this occurred, if this push continued, that they would be there for John Lewis. And anyway, so, but I think that's a problem that is my own making by not communicating as much as I should have. Yet, you find that when you deal with members of the Black Caucus and others in the United States Congress, I still have very close working relationships. So it's like every community. I'm sure that there are those in the community, and I'm a big labor guy. I'm sure there's people in labor saying, why haven't I been able to do A, B, C, or D? So it's just going to take a little bit of time.
You put Vice President Harris in charge of voting rights. Are you satisfied with her work on this issue? And can you guarantee, do you commit that she will be your running mate in 2024, provided that you run again?
Yes and yes.
Who do you think was going to be the fucking running mate? What?
Pardon me?
Do you care to expand?
No, there's no need to. I mean, I asked the question. She's going to be my running mate, number one. And number two,
obviously. Why they even ask that?
Let me ask you.
Getting like conspiratorial.
Think about voting rights.
He's going to have a different running mate.
Unify your own party around voting rights. Unity was one of your key campaign promises. In fact, in your inaugural address, you said your whole soul was in bringing America together, uniting our people. People heard the speech that you gave on voting rights in Georgia recently, in which you described those who were opposed to you to George Wallace and Jefferson Davis, and some people took exception to that. What do you say to those who were offended by your speech?
Yeah, it was a machine decision.
Unified.
Like I said, when I did the appeal, it came back like not even 5 minutes later saying the appeal was, turned down or whatever. And I'm like, there's no way you could have fucking reviewed the video. Like, it was 2 hours long.
You either voted on the side.
And I watched the entire. When I got that email, I was like, fuck, I don't want to strike on my channel already. So I watched the entire fucking video, the 2 hours thing. And I was like, dude, I didn't do anything even close to that, or even say anything close to that. So, yeah, they just didn't review it and just.
I was attacking them.
Yeah, it was a fucking probably a robot that did it. Yeah, I don't know.
Any senator, any congressman, publicly.
Robot that did the review.
Disagreements with them have been made to them, communicate to them privately or in person with them. My desire still is, look, I underestimated one very important thing. I never thought that the Republicans, like for example, I said, they got very upset. I said, there are 16 members of the present United States Senate who voted to extend the Voting Rights Act. Now, they got very offended by that. It wasn't an accusation, just stating a fact. What has changed? What happened? What happened? Why is there not a single Republican? Not one. That's not the Republican Party. So that's not an attack.
Is the country more unified than when you first took office?
It's not going to be. Who cares about that?
Based on some of the stuff we've got done, I'd say yes, but it's not nearly unified as it should be. Look, I still contend, and I know you'll have a right
unified. Dude, nobody gives a fuck about
that.
Being unified. I don't want to be unified with the fucking Chuds, dude.
You cannot sustain the democracy.
They're fucking stupid.
And so this is a real test. Whether or not my counterpart in China.
Oh, you did test positive? Fuck. That sucks.
The only thing that are going to prevail because democracies take too.
Damn, how are you doing?
And countries are too divided. I believe we're going through one of those inflection points in history that occurs
hope you're doing all right.
generations or even more than that, even more time than that, where things are changing almost regardless of any particular policy. The world's changing in big ways. We're going to see, if you heard me say this before, we're going to see more change in the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 50 years. Because of technology, because of fundamental alterations in alliances that are occurring, not because of any one individual, just because of the nature of things. And so I think you're going to see an awful lot of transition. And the question is, can we keep up with it? Can we maintain the democratic institutions that we have, not just here, but around the world, to be able to generate democratic consensus on how to proceed. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but it requires leadership.
Breathe and taste still.
I'm not giving up on the prospect of being able to do that. Thank you.
Not like last time. Symptoms are mild. That's good. Coughing, sneezing. Yeah, Omicron. That's good. Yeah, because it's
questions
a little milder than the other ones.
Of government. From the messy
Damn.
rollout
Well,
of
I'm glad it's not
5G
too bad. Yeah.
to the Afghanistan
Yo, Stick Twitch.
testing on COVID. What have you done
What up,
to
Bowie?
restore Americans' faith in the competence of government? And are you satisfied by the view of the competence of your government?
Look, let's take Afghanistan. I know you all would like to focus on that, which is legitimate. We were spending $1 trillion a week. I mean, $1 billion a week in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I was going to say $1 billion a week. Yeah, we were.
Raise your hand if you think anyone was going to be able to unify Afghanistan under one single government.
We should have never even fucking been there in the first place. Let alone there for 20 fucking years.
It is not susceptible to unity.
Honestly, getting out of Afghanistan was probably the best thing Joe Biden did in his presidency so far.
That much money per week in
Where's his mask?
Afghanistan. Knowing that.
He doesn't wear it when he gives a speech. He puts it on right after.
Other than sending more body bags back home, is highly, highly unusual. My dad used to have an expression. He'd say, son, if everything's equally important to you, nothing's important to you. There is no way to get out of Afghanistan after
Coco the gorilla, okay.
Not possible, no matter
like the gorilla that could do sign language and shit. I remember that.
And I make no apologies for what I did. I have a great concern for the women and men who were blown up on the line at the airport by a terrorist attack against them. But the military will acknowledge, and I think you will, who know a lot about foreign policy, that had we stayed and had not pulled those troops out, we would be asked to put somewhere between 20 and 50,000 more troops back in. Because the only reason more Americans weren't being killed than others is because the last president signed an agreement to get out by May the 1st. And so everything was copacetic. Had we not gotten out, and the acknowledgement is we'd be putting a lot more forces in. Now, do I feel badly what's happening as a consequence of the incompetence of the Taliban? Yes, I do.
The Taliban?
But I feel badly also about the fistulas that are taking place in Eastern Congo. I feel badly about a whole range of things around the world.
Right, we shouldn't be fucking
we can't
around.
Solve every problem.
That's true.
And so I don't view that as a competence issue. The issue of whether or not there's competence in terms of whether or not we're dealing with 5G or not, we don't deal with
5G.
The fact is that you had two private enterprises, that had one promoting 5G and the other one are airlines. They're private enterprises. They have government regulation, admittedly. And so what I've done is pushed as hard as I can to have 5G folks hold up and abide by what was being requested by the airlines until they could more modernize over the years, so that 5G would not interfere with the potential of the landing. So
5G still sucks.
Any 5G tower within a certain number of miles from the airport should not be operative. And so I understand, but anything that happens that's consequential is viewed as the
really? I don't have a 5G. I think I have like 3G. I don't even know,
the way
honestly.
in which we have dealt with COVID and all the things that go along with it. Yeah, I am satisfied. I think we've done remarkably well. You know, the idea that on testing we should have done it quicker, but we've done remarkable since then. What we have more testing going on than anywhere in the world. And we're going to continue to increase that. Did we have it at the moment exactly when we should have moved? And
we have 5G here, just not. I don't have it on my phone.
I don't view that as somehow a mark of incompetence. Look, think of what we did on COVID. When we were pushing AstraZeneca to
don't pay attention to stuff like that, honestly. Like,
guess what?
As long as the shit works, I'm happy.
To be able to do it. So I physically went to Michigan, stood there in a factory.
I think it's crazy, the people that have to get the like brand new thing as soon as it comes out and shit. It's like,
this is what we'll do. We'll help you do
a lot
it
of
so
times
you can
there's
produce this vaccine more
bugs that they need to fix and a lot of things too anyway. But
we also said right now, when people, the hospitalizations are overrunning hospitals and you have docs and nurses out because of COVID, they have COVID. We put thousands of people back in those hospitals. Look at all the military personnel we have there, first responders. Nobody is ever organized. Nobody is ever organized a strategic operation to get as many shots in arms by opening clinics and keeping and being able to get so many people vaccinated. What I'm doing now is not just getting significant amounts of vaccines to the rest of the world, but they now need the mechanical way is how they get shots in arms. So
same. I don't like.
Now, should everybody in America know that? No, I don't necessarily.
I don't like fucking with new shit, really.
Put 3 squares on the table and stay safe.
It's too.
But so, I
also,
do think
it's just too expensive to like keep up with shit like that.
I wish we could have written it differently.
I've always been behind on technology from everybody, though. Like, pretty much my whole life. So I just used to like living like that, which is not a bad like.
Some are still holding the money.
I'm living like everybody else, just not like.
I think that's not particularly competent. There's things that could and should have been done. They could have moved faster. So I understand the frustration. You know, I remember. I think it was, I forget which cabinet member saying to Barack Obama, where something was going on, and he said, well, you're going to be sure, Mr. President, of the millions of employees you have out there, somebody's screwing up right now. Somebody's screwing up.
Oh, you mean the...
So you know, it's just a...
The documentary?
We have to look at things that we used to look at on balance. What is the trajectory of the country? Is it moving in the right direction now? I don't know how we can
do their own research.
I understand the overwhelming frustration, fear, and concern.
It's like, yeah, that's the thing.
To inflation and COVID.
I don't know what when people say they want to do their own research, they mean.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. First year, I'm going to create over 600.
Like, look at posts on Facebook or something, because the people who are actually doing real research is like the doctors and scientists and shit, and they know what they're talking about, you know. People on Facebook don't know fucking shit what the fuck they're talking about.
You entered this office with, but yet after we sit here for more than an hour,
obviously,
I'm not sure I've heard you say if you
could say anything on there, and fucking people.
Do you plan to do anything different?
Like, what? Oh, did you hear that?
With your team here at the White House.
I'm satisfied with the team.
And people just believe anything they hear on Facebook and shit.
Now that I've gotten the critical crises out of the way in the sense of that knowing exactly where we're going.
Real doctors post on BitChute and Rumble, of course. Yeah, Rumble's where all the facts are, according to Candace Owens. Where all the real medical information is.
The case is what we've already done.
Rumble.
Why it's important and what we'll do what will happen if they support what else I want to do. Number 2, I'm bringing in more and more now that I have time. I mean, literally, like you, I'm not complaining. It's, 12, 14 hours a day. No complaints. I really mean that sincerely. But now that certain of the...
When Trump came out, like, pro-vax, she was like, well, he's really old and he doesn't go on Rumble.
Experts outside, from academia to editorial writers to think tanks. And I'm bringing
that must be where all the facts are,
just
I guess.
I did early on, bringing in presidential historians to get their perspective on what we should be doing, seeking more input, more information, more constructive criticism on what I should and shouldn't be doing. And the third thing that I'm going to be doing a lot more of is being in a situation where I'm able to I'm going to be deeply involved in these off-year elections. We're going to be raising a lot of money. We're going to be out there making sure that we're helping all of those candidates, and scores of them have already asked me to come in and campaign with them, to go out and make the case in plain, simple language.
Test at home vaccine?
We've done.
You mean the home tests? Yeah, I'm gonna get some. Yeah, COVID tests. Yeah.
Doing this. I'm happy to stick around.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some. I don't know. I was gonna see how long they last because I don't need any like right at the moment. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely get them sent here because as long as they last a long time, yeah, I'll keep them for. I needed one the last month and I couldn't get one. So.
Why are you trying so hard?
Oh, here's this guy.
To pull the country so far to the left.
I wish, motherfucker. Fuck you.
I don't know what you consider to be too far to the left.
Joe Biden is a right-wing douchebag. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
To put together the bipartisan.
Jesus Christ. I knew this guy was going to say something fucking idiotic.
Things that, in fact, would significantly reduce the burden on working class people, but make
got back to me within a week. Well, I just put my thing in like 2 days ago.
Left. If you may recall, you guys have been trying to convince me that I am Bernie Sanders. I'm not. I'm not Bernie Sanders.
I wish.
I'm not a socialist.
Bernie Sanders is not a socialist. Bernie Sanders is a democratic socialist, but that's not. It's not a socialist like me.
Supported me in the Senate on virtually everything.
Bernie Sanders like center left, dude. He's not even far left. Like, it'd be better than this asshole though.
You believed that we would have free and fair elections in 2022 if some of these state legislatures reformed their voting protocols. You said
I knew that dude was gonna say something fucking stipid.
Do you think that they would
every time he gets owned every time he fucking asks a question, usually by Jen Psaki.
Imagine if in fact Trump has succeeded in convincing Pence to not count the votes. Imagine if
in regards to 2022, sir, the midterm
2022. I mean, imagine if those attempts to say that the count.
Yo, Anya Harris.
We're not going to count. We're going to discard the following.
This is different, huh?
I'm not saying it's going to be legit. It's the increase in the prospect of being illegitimate is in direct proportion to us not being able to get these reforms passed. But
it's kind of, the chat is very primitive compared to Twitch chat. That's for sure. Kind of sucks, but
coming back at assuming that the attempt fails today.
One more, sir. You campaigned and you were
people selling tests.
Choosability, and I know that you dispute the characterization that you called folks who would oppose those voting bills as being Bull Connor or George Wallace, but you said that.
Oh, I know.
In the
just the emotes in general.
Although
I can get emotes here, but I think I have to get to a certain level or have so many subscribers or something like that.
Anyone who voted on the side of the position taken by Bull Connor that they were Bull Connor. And that is an interesting.
Oh, you drive home, cool. Yeah.
Word. Because you like to write.
Thanks for being here.
So did you expect that would work with Senators?
Good to see you.
Cinema.
No, here's the thing. There's certain things that are so consequential. You have to speak from your heart.
Yeah, for sure.
I was speaking out forcefully.
I know. I think that's the best YouTube emote. Is that little cat in the box or whatever?
No one.
That's my favorite one too.
Forgets who was on the side of King versus on Bull Connor. No one.
What you mean, YouTube?
The history books will note it. When I was making the case, don't think this is a freebie. You don't get to vote this way and then somehow it goes away. This will be
the join button. That's what I want to do. Yeah. Career. I wonder how long I have to be on here for.
Mr. President,
folks.
I'm more on
yeah, YouTube.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Whoa,
Jack.
We've only gone an hour and 20 minutes. I'll keep going. But I'm going to go. Let me get something straight here.
Get something straight, Jack.
You guys ready to go? You want to go for another hour or two?
You want to go for another hour? No, we don't.
Okay. I'm going to go. I tell you what, folks. I'm going to go another 20 minutes.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yes, sir.
Whoa, 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 Jack.
President Biden on the
I want to thank my
Don't keep
education
going,
staff
yeah.
for great help here.
Well, President Biden, on the coronavirus, we're tragically approaching nearly 1 million Americans who died.
True.
And I'd like to ask you,
1 million!
During your 3.5-hour virtual summit in November with the Chinese president, you didn't press for transparency, and also whether that has anything to do with...
Don't keep going, Biden. Get off the stage. Boo! The fuck off the stage.
They're just not being transparent.
Transparency on the coronavirus origins.
Yes.
And you did during the virtual summit. Is there a reason your press staff was unaware of that? And what did you say to the Chinese president?
And they weren't with me the entire time. Look, I made it clear that I thought that China had an obligation to be more forthcoming on exactly what the source of the virus was and where it came from. Yes.
Mr. President, I would like to ask you about foreign policy. One of the first priority that you declared when you came to office was to end the war in Yemen, the catastrophic war in Yemen. You appointed a special envoy. Today, one of your allies, United Arab Emirates, is asking your administration to put back the Houthi rebels or militias back on the terror list. Are you going to do that? And how are you going to end the war in Yemen, sir?
The answer is it's under consideration.
I hope you motherfuckers take Cuba off the fucking terror list.
It takes the two parties to be involved to do it, and it's going to be very difficult. Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's in the bill, I think, that they're voting on today.
I'd like to raise a delicate
fucking Mondo Cat! What up?
And the high office you hold.
What up, Daddy-o? Oh shit, it's our dad, Mondo Cat.
My political morning consult found 49% of registered voters disagreeing with the statement, Joe Biden is mentally fit. Not even a majority of Democrats who responded.
Okay, yeah. Neither was Trump, motherfucker.
We'll let you all make the judgment.
I'd say that about almost all the presidents in my fucking lifetime, so, yeah.
I suppose such large segments of the American electorate have come to harbor such...
I know, this is... I've only been doing them for a week.
Thank you.
I have no idea. Yes, sir.
It's pretty weird. It's a lot different than streaming on
I wanted to sort of address
Twitch or whatever. So
attention that's sort of been in this press conference on unifying the country, because you campaign.
Oh God, here's that unifying the country bullshit again.
Big things, and the other is the ability to unify the country. And even today, you've talked about sort of a different posture with Republicans, and I wonder if you still think it's possible to do both of those things.
Posture, my
dick. We have to. I mean, as long as I hold public office, I'm going to continue to attempt to do both things.
Follow up. Around this time last year, when you were campaigning in Georgia, I think one of the things you told people was the power is literally in your hands. You know, if voters give
1,000 subs
the House and the Senate and the presidency, that
motherfucker, that's going to take a while.
And, you know, we've seen stalemate, we've seen things being stymied. Why should folks believe?
Took me like.
Can you think of any other president's done as much in 1 year?
Pretty long to get that. Well, subs are the same as followers on here, so.
You guys talk about how
I think it took me. I don't think over half a year to do that on Twitch, and this is way different, so I don't fucking know. Honestly,
I'm not complaining. Knew that running in, and the fact of the matter is, we got an awful lot done. An awful lot done. and there's more to get done. But look, let me ask a rhetorical question. No, I won't. Anyway.
What the fuck? Let me ask a rhetorical question. Never mind.
Yes.
I think he forgot what he was gonna say.
Be careful, don't get hurt, man.
No, I'm gonna take care.
Don't get
Mr.
hurt,
President,
man.
Thank you. Sebastian Smith from AFP. Another question. on
AFP,
Ukraine.
huh?
Ukraine borders 4 NATO member countries. How concerned are you concerned that a real conflagration in Ukraine?
YouTube pays better?
Really go in there. That it could
yeah, that's probably
NATO countries that are on the border, and you end up with an actual NATO-Russia confrontation.
I know, like, subs on Twitch, you only get half, like, for every, like, $5 sub, you get, like, $2.50 or something, so.
Vladimir Putin as a way
They take, like, half of the fucking money.
This whole thing to bed, address their concerns, and negotiate a way out of this.
The last question, yes. When we talked about whether or not we'd pick the 3 meetings we talked about.
Also, I have the...
We would go from there.
I just have the Dono fucking link that
we talked about a summit.
Doesn't take any of the money.
Item came up in terms of.
I get like everything. Oh, stream in the red. It's finally going in the red.
So
Here
I
we go.
still think that is a
Up. We're good.
Number one. Number two, I am very concerned. I'm very concerned that this could end up being. Look. The only.
That's true. Well, if it has ads on it, which I wasn't.
And what I'm concerned.
I wasn't gonna monetize the channel, but maybe.
Very easily get out of hand because of what you said.
Coughing like a motherfucker? You smoking weed?
And what Russia
Or hopefully you...
I am hoping
not COVID or something.
Vladimir Putin understands that he is short of a full-blown nuclear war. He's not in a very good position to dominate the world. And so I don't think he thinks that. But it is a concern. And that's why we have to be very careful about how we move forward. And make it clear to him that there are prices to pay that could, in fact,
what the fuck?
cost his.
Why did it do that?
But
I thought it was going to cut him off.
When you have, nuclear power invaded. Listen, if he invades, it hasn't happened since World War II. It's the most consequential thing that's happened in the world. In terms
Not
of
smoking weed?
Since World War II. Yes.
Damn, you alright?
Nearly 2 years have passed since the beginning of the global coronavirus outbreak, and you again today acknowledge that Americans are frustrated and they're tired.
Corona, that's why I was like, I hope not.
What
Shit.
Restrictions do you imagine being on Americans this time next year, and what does the new normal look like for social
Yo, Princess Fina, what up?
Well, the answer is
I
hope the new normal will be that we don't.
Oh, I actually wanted to ask Mondo Cat. Do you know how we can do a Discord chat on here?
Interest is and have taken advantage of.
I know everybody does have it. Aztec was just talking about.
With the pill that is
just a second ago, she tested positive.
Efficacious as it seems to be.
Weirdo's parents got it. Oh fuck.
To deal with this virus in a way that after the fact you have an ability to make sure you don't get very sick. Number 3. I would hope.
Cause I think
the rest of the world does what I'm doing and provides significant amounts.
If I just make a chat channel on the Discord, and then I can put it in like a add it as a source, like as a browser, could we put it on here? No, I was gonna link it with the OBS. I think, yeah. And then just make it so you could see it on here, but people would be posting the chats in the Discord.
The world
is how I understand it.
Yeah. Vaccinated. It's not enough just to vaccinate.
And then I could make it like a browser and then just put it up. Like how I had the chat on the.
It's not enough to do.
Because then we can use the emotes and stuff on there.
And that's why. We have continued to
all
keep
the spilly emotes and shit.
Vaccines and available.
Yeah, Princess Fina was telling me about it. I don't know. I never heard of it either,
Said this
but
before, Francesca Chambers McClatchy. How do you plan to win back moderates and independents who cast a ballot for you in 2020?
Oh, you never. Okay.
Polls indicate are unhappy with the way you're doing your job now.
I don't believe the polls.
He said, "I don't believe the polls."
Well, why don't you just go down the road?
Thank you, Mr. President. To follow up on some of the questions about the vaccination program, you've given dozens of speeches this year urging Americans to get vaccinated. You've talked to reluctant Republicans. You've said it's people's patriotic duty. There have been very few mentions of the fact that young children under the age of 5, still in the third year of this pandemic in this country, don't have access to the vaccine. Can you speak to frustrated parents a little bit about why that continues to be the case and when that might change?
Because the science hasn't reached the point where they're convinced that, in fact, it is safe.
Simultaneous. Yeah, I don't think. I think
I
it's.
asked that question about 3 months ago.
Make it a browser.
Of, 7 and 12. Well,
Send me a link. Okay.
Got to the point where they felt
Yeah, put it.
the number of tests they had
Don't
done,
put it in the chat here. Put it in
and
Discord because I
safe.
can't
So it will
click
come.
on links in this
But I can't-
in this
I'm not a
chat.
scientist. I can't tell you when, but it is.
Or you
very,
probably are sending
very
it to me in Discord, right?
that next piece.
One more follow-up on Build Back Better. When you said it's going to likely be broken up into chunks, you mentioned that the climate pieces seem to have broad support. You mentioned that Senator Manchin is a supporter of early child care.
Coughing and sneezing
You
in front of
left
you,
out
no
the
mask.
child
Oh,
tax credit.
fuck.
And I wonder if it's fair to read between the lines and assume that that is a piece, given Senator Manchin's opposition to it.
That's what we're thinking about,
The
okay.
extension of that is likely one of those components that may have to wait until
There's
sometime down the
two
line.
really big components. that I feel strongly
Yeah,
about that
go
are not
hey.
in the package. One is the
Galactic
child
Jack.
tax credit. And the other is.
He's going for a long time though.
Cost of
Yeah, it's been going for an hour.
They are
Like I've
massive
started this right,
things that I've
hour and a half,
done, I care
like 2
about
hours
them,
probably.
And I'm going to keep coming back at whatever floor I get to be able to try to get chunks of all of that done. Yes, sir. Next man next to your left.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Pedro Rojas. I'm with Univision National News. This is actually my first press conference here. It's good to meet you in person.
We always have long press conferences.
Awesome. I got a couple of questions for you. Number one, you said that you want to convey your message by getting out there in the country. I wonder if you're planning on traveling also to South America and other countries in the Western Hemisphere, given the fact that China has gained a lot of influence in the region. And the second question is,
Damn, that's fucked up. I know. I'm afraid to go to the goddamn. I have to go.
Country that are struggling every time they go to the gas.
I have to go to the store after this. After this is over, and we'll like hang out for a little bit more, and then I gotta go to the fucking store, and then I'm gonna come back and do my what the fuck Wednesday stream. So
I wonder what is the message.
I like get nervous when I have to go to the fucking
Well,
store
I
and
tried to
shit.
express- I've tried to answer that 7 different ways today about how to do
Thought he was
inflation.
done.
But let me answer the first question.
I guess a bunch of people
spent
want to
a lot
ask
of time in
questions.
South America and in Latin America. When I was vice president, I spent the bulk of my years basically in Europe and/or in Latin
412.
America. I'm in contact with the leaders of the countries in South America. We're working closely with making sure that we do everything, for example, with the to deal with helping the countries in question, particularly those in Central America, to be able to help them with their ability to deal with the people don't sit around in Guatemala and say, I got a great idea. Let's sell everything we have, give the money to a coyote, take us across a terribly dangerous trip up through Central America.
The
up to
booing?
Mexico,
Maybe.
sneak us across the border, drop us in the desert. Won't that be fun? People leave because they have real problems. And one of the things I've done when I was a vice president, got support with, although I don't have much Republican support anymore, is provide billions of dollars to be able to say to those countries, why are people leaving? And how are you going to reform your own system? And that's what we've worked on a long time. It still needs a lot more work, and we're focusing on it. I also believe I've spent a lot of time talking about and dealing with policy having to do with Maduro, who is a little more than a dictator right now. and the same thing in Chile and not the same thing.
What do you mean?
Chile as well as Argentina.
Chile just fucking voted for a fucking socialist, dude. They're fucking
saying
that everything's going super pog there right now.
We were smart. We have an opportunity.
I feel like the U.S. just can't wait to overthrow that motherfucker.
Not united. A democratic.
That's what they do. They're gonna do a coup over there.
We're moving in the right direction.
That's why he brought up fucking Chile.
Obama-Biden administration.
Bringing up dictators.
So much damage was done as a consequence of the foreign policy decisions the last president made in Latin America, Central America, and South America that we now have when I call for a summit of the democracies.
Fuck.
I call that a number of nations showed up for this summit of democracy. What is it that's going to allow us to generate? We've actually had a reduction in the number.
Painted the fuck out of my hand.
And it seems to me there's nothing more important. We used to talk about, when I was a kid in college, about America's backyard. It's not America's backyard. Everything south of the Mexican border is America's front yard. And we're equal people. We don't dictate what happens in any other part of this continent or the South American continent. We have to work very hard on it. But the trouble is we're having great difficulty making up for the mistakes that have been made the last 4 years. And it's going to take
He like moved away from the fucking microphone so that turned it up real loud.
Thank you, Mr. President. Alexander Nazarian, Yahoo News.
Yahoo News.
Press conference. I hope there's more of them.
Anytime you have extra 3 hours, we can do it.
We'll stay for a couple more. You said you were surprised by Republican obstruction of your agenda, but didn't the GOP take exactly the same tactic when you were vice president to Barack Obama? So,
yeah, they did.
Why did you think they would treat you any differently than they treated him?
First of
Got
all,
him.
they weren't nearly as obstructionist as they are now.
I mean, they
I
weren't.
stated that. But you had a number of Republicans we worked with closely. From John McCain, a number of Republicans.
Oh, John McCain's the only one you could name so far.
Lindsey Graham. And so...
Yeah, the Senate. I was going to look at that too.
There seems to be a desire
where they're
to work. And I didn't say my agenda.
Fucking debating voting rights, dude. We are debating voting rights in this country. One side thinks that voting rights are good. The other side thinks that voting rights not so good. Fucking amazing, dude. Debating voting rights right now. What the fuck?
You heard anything? Anything?
Yeah, we watched...
The American public...
We watched the entire thing last night. They were debating last night too. They're supposed to vote today, I think, right?
What have they done to do anything to ameliorate the climate change that's occurring other than to deny it exists? So what I'm saying is the difference between then and now is not only the announcement that was made, anything to stop Barack Obama. I get that part. But what eventually happened, we were able to get some things done. We were able to work through some things.
Nah, he's barely talked about it.
Consequential in terms of ideologically divisive. It was a real.
We were talking about the Senate is debating voting rights.
I think there's a time when I wonder what would be the Republican platform right now. What do you think? What do you think their position on taxes are?
They don't want any.
What do you think their position on human rights
are? They don't want any.
What position is on whether or not we should what we should do about the cost of prescription drugs?
They want to simp for the corporations. Dude, I can tell you what all they're fucking...
What they're for, yet I know a lot of these
I know exactly what they're for.
Congressmen, and I know they do have things they want to support. Whether there's things I want or not. But you don't hear much about that. And every once in a while, when you hear something where there's a consensus, it's important but a small item, and it doesn't get much coverage at all where it occurs. I'm not mean coverage. There's not much discussion about it. So I just think it's a different, and I don't know that no matter how strongly one supports the Republican,
I just cannot believe
the president, the former president.
These chuds are making us debate voting rights, dude. Like, obviously, voting rights good, you fuckheads. Like,
That's a real problem.
I hate
one more
these.
question, Mr. President. There's
By the
been
way, it's 1/4 guys, so I'm going to do this. If you answer me easy questions, I'll give you quick answers.
There's an increasing concern, I think, among some Democrats that even if schools do continue to open,
Literally no platform.
Open,
Right, anything Donald Trump wants. Yep, that's what they're still for right now. It's exactly what they still are. Some of them,
allowing them to stay closed.
Some of them are jumping off the Trump bandwagon because he came out pro-vaccine. But other than that, most of them are all whatever Trump says.
Well, that could school reopening,
like still in the Trump call, basically.
Become a potent midterm issue for Republicans.
Call 45.
Oh, I think it could be, but I hope in God that they're
Look, Jack, his brain's starting to malfunction.
Myself. But as time goes on, the voter who is just trying to figure out, as I said, how to take care of their family, put 3 squares on the table, stay safe, be able to pay their mortgage or their rent, etc. Is becoming much more informed on the
yes.
the motives.
Spit it out, motherfucker.
Some of the political players and some of the political parties.
All right, yeah, he's starting to malfunction, dude. Get him off the stage.
Susceptible to believing.
Get off the stage.
Every president, the first couple of years, every president, of the last presidents, at least 4 of them, have had polling numbers that are 44% favorable. So it's this idea that, but you all, not you all, but now it is, well, Biden's that one poll showed him at 33%. The average is 44, 45%. One poll him at 49%. I mean, the idea that...
yeah, nobody likes you, Biden. It's fine. Like, you're still better than Trump, but...
sift their way through what's real and what's...
You're one square away from him on the goddamn political compass, so...
As, I've never seen a time when the political coverage, the choice of what political coverage...
Accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker!
They believe they go to get reinforced in their views, whether it's MSNBC or whether it's Fox or whatever. I mean, and one of the things I find fascinating...
Yeah, 2 right-wing bullshit channels.
And it will impact on how things move, is that a lot of the speculation in the polling data shows that the cables are heading south. They're losing viewership.
Better than Trump is, yeah, dude, being better than Trump is like, the bar is fucking under the ground.
Predicted to be not very much in the mix.
Yeah, it's the lowest of bars possible, yeah.
But I do know.
I mean, a fucking... a murderer is probably better than Trump. I don't fucking know.
And they've decided that, you know...
Like a mass murderer.
It's
still like...
MSNBC also watch Fox.
I probably would have voted for a mass murderer over Trump.
How many people... Again, I'm no expert.
Not that every president isn't a mass murderer, but...
I think you have to acknowledge that what gets covered now...
Yeah.
...is...
Doesn't count because they're blowing up people in other countries.
In the past, I've had a couple... Oh, I shouldn't get into this.
No, I shouldn't get into
But
this,
the
Jack.
nature... Not... The nature of the way... things get covered.
Yeah, we're gonna pop in on the voting
That's
rights
my observation
fucking debate right after this.
I've changed. and it's changed because of everything from a thing called the internet.
We could pop in
It's
on it.
changed because of
I feel like he's gonna end right now, though.
we have self-identified perspectives based on what channel you turn on, what network you look at, that network, what cable you look at, and it's never quite been like that. Anyway.
On behalf of the Correspondents Association, thank you very much for standing for our questions. We hope the public has found it as enlightening as those of us in the room have. I want to ask you, sir, about one of the overriding...
I can still stand. It's amazing.
We appreciate it. We very much do. So the question I want to ask you gets to accountability, sir. On one of the top public concerns, of course, which is the coronavirus and the government's response to it, whether it's confusion over what style of mask to wear, when to test, how to test, where to test. The public is confused, sir, and you see that in the drop-off in the polling on this question. Why did you tell Jeff that you were satisfied with your team? Why are you not willing to make or interested in making any changes, either at the CDC or other agencies, given the fact that the messages have been so confusing?
Yeah, the CDC has been fucking up.
The messages, to the extent they've been confusing, is because the scientists, they're learning more.
That's true, too.
More about what's needed and what's not needed.
That is true.
The fact is that the one piece that has gotten a lot
It's a
of
brand new
attention
disease. Came out 2 years ago. We're still learning.
the communications capacity of the CDC. Well, she came along and said, look, I'm a scientist, and I'm learning. I'm learning how to deal with stating what is the case that we've observed. Look, I think that it's a little bit like saying, when we went through the whole issue of how to deal with polio and the polio shots.
Mm-hmm.
What was said in the beginning
right.
was, oh, no, it's changed a little bit. We moved this way or that way.
It's,
when we dealt
it is
with
similar.
Anything else.
Polio.
Back
and forth. Oh, we watched yesterday and it was...
virus. Brand new
Both of them were being annoying, but at least the Democrats are for voting rights. Even though the chuds are against it. It's like wild. Being against voting rights. Oh, 6:30 is when the vote happened. I knew it was going to happen today. All right. Well, yeah, we'll pop in on that. I'm going to have to go to the store before we do What the Fuck Wednesday, but I'll probably go to the store and then start the stream up again. Unless Billy wants to stream while I go to the store.
Pretty amazing how rapidly they came up.
Nah, I'll just start a new stream.
It saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Did everything get right? No. And by the way, the idea whether we... Anyway, I'm talking too much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two really simple questions.
All right.
I promise.
Good.
You campaigned on canceling $10,000 in student loans. Do you still plan to do so, and when? And then my second question is, now that you've clarified the Bull Connor comments, do you plan to reach out to Republicans like Mitt Romney to talk about reforming the Electoral Count Act?
Yes, I'm happy to speak out. I've met with Rip. Who the fuck are you? And by the way, I reached out to the minority leader as well at the time that he made his speech. And so I have no reluctance to reach out to any Republican and anyone and I've made it clear. Look, I've now had the opportunity to travel.
Oh, 6:30 my time.
Funerals and eulogies I've made and attended.
It's fucking about to be. It's 5:50 right now.
The number, but somewhere
5:53 where I'm at right now. So
senators and congresspersons.
In like a half hour, they're gonna vote on that shit.
You should get the list of them and ask how we.
So we'll look at we'll watch the vote and then I'll.
We've flown together, sit back in that conference table and talk to them.
I'll end the stream, go to the store, and then I'll come back, and then we'll do the What the Fuck stream. I got a lot of good What the Fuck things to look at.
That I do think that has been made clear to me, speaking of
a lot of What the Fucks happened this week.
The public doesn't want me to be the president's senator. They want me to be the president and let senators be senators. And so if I've made many mistakes, I'm sure. If I've made a mistake, I'm used to negotiating to get things done, and I've been, in the past, relatively successful at it in the United States Senate, even as vice president. But I think that role as president is a different role. Folks, it is now...
Folks, I knew he was going to end.
With all due respect, I'm going to see you next conference, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President Biden speaking for nearly 2 hours to members of the press corps. The president
that was a pretty
the
long
year
one
of his presidency, one of enormous progress.
Get off the stage, Biden. Oh, what time is starting? What the fuck?
And it was the first in months, frankly, and so
this will probably end at like
they covered ground on
close to 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna say I gotta go to the store, so probably around 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, 8:30 my time, yeah. I'll start What the Fuck Wednesday. So I just gotta go to the store real quick, and then make sure I have all the videos ready and stuff. Make sure I'm not like missing anything new that happened. Also, let's see what the Senate's doing right now. Yeah, What the Fuck Wednesday. That's gonna be fun.
Country, including
my
colleague,
Senate.
Senator Cotton.
Senator Cotton.
But the Republican Party and the Democratic Party must unite to stand for freedom and to stand for an accountable democracy.
The Chuds don't stand for freedom, though.
Because without that,
they want to get rid of voting
the rules
rights.
of this body do not matter. I yield the floor.
The senator from Illinois.
Mr. President, I can't think of a more important thing to be debating here in these chambers than the right to vote.
I can't think of a stupider thing. We should not be debating this. It should be fucking common knowledge that voting rights are good. This is so stupid.
Prevent us from having a vote or a discussion on the Voting Rights Act.
It's ridiculous.
In America, the path towards justice has always been intertwined with the right to vote. Progress and enfranchisement have always been braided together.
Mm-hmm.
Billy clubs, whips, barbed wire, wrapped tubing. That's what awaited John Lewis at the end of that Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. Because it's never been easy. It's never been easy to fight for enfranchisement or to fight for that right to vote. There's always been a price to pay by those who focus on justice.
Focus.
Shattered souls, explosions of tear gas,
you gotta
pain
fight
screams, and the crack
for
of
your
claws
right
against bone.
to stream
the sounds that filled the air as Lewis and hundreds of his fellow Americans tried to march as they tried to.
Yo, let's do a motherfucking stream match.
Most of us in this room know that those mothers and fathers
I'm
of the civil
smoking
rights
anyway,
movement, what they did for us that day. They raised their voice on that bridge.
Billy, take over for me.
Raise their voices at the ballot box. And tragically,
oh, he told Mark Monkey. Oh, I love Mark Monkey. Yeah, cool. Oh, thank you.
Appear unwilling to do their part to protect the rights those heroes fought for.
Man,
more than a half century ago,
I'm nervous about not getting my channel back. I just wish they would tell me
came together to pass
if I get it back or
not.
not.
A bill designed to protect Black Americans, to protect all Americans from the kind of racial discrimination that was so common in state-run elections at that time. Of course, it's not possible to list out all the changes that have taken since that moment.
It is possible,
more and more
but
civil rights advocates
no reason to
stood
do
up
that.
and sat in. More and more Americans marched through, then laid down in the streets.
Also, stream match. Billy, take over the fucking stream.
With
you little
every
fuck.
hard-earned right they secured and every fight that they won. But sadly,
hydrate.
One other change stands out.
I will hydrate whenever
more than 50 years
I'm gonna have
the Voting Rights Act became law.
Get some chud blood when
say that
when
a
I do
bipartisan
this.
majority of the
When I
Senate
hit this
is willing to
bowl a
protect the
couple
most
times,
basic
so
tenet of our democracy. Heck, we don't even have
Take over
All
for
of the
me,
senators in the room
Spilly.
to discuss this. Every American's right
All
to
right,
make
hold
their
on.
voice heard is so critically important to our democracy. We can't say this because Senate Republicans have spent the past year blocking every Democratic attempt to even begin debate on strengthening voter legislation. Even as Republicans in states around the country pass more and more restrictive voter suppression laws aimed at silencing the voice of the people, we still struggle and beg to have this debate, and they will not vote to allow us to do so. Republicans in Georgia made it illegal to preemptorily mail out absentee ballots to registered voters.
Yeah, this is
A law that
fucking
hurts all
wild,
groups that
dude.
rely on voting by mail, from communities of color to Americans living with disabilities. It also hurts military voters currently serving in harm's way overseas. I myself voted by mail when I was serving in our country in Iraq. After all, I was
Yeah,
busy
Spilly's taking
flying combat
over.
missions,
Take it
so I
away,
don't know if I would
Spilly.
have had the chance to request an absentee ballot 15 days before the election if my unit had not assisted in
What's
that
going
effort.
on with you, Spilly?
Not every unit may do that. And so not having
How's
their
it going,
ballots mailed to them
Spills?
would make it immeasurably harder for our troops to vote wherever they may be serving. And I can't understand
Spilly, you got
why
anything to say,
Republicans would
or
want to make it harder for brave
just gonna
Americans
sit there?
defending our democracy abroad to participate in it. But that's what they're doing. And I can't understand how my Republican
Spilly,
colleagues
wake
can
up.
sit here
I need you to
today
take over the stream.
and ask paid staffers and pages.
Motherfucker's sleeping. Ah, there you go. Hey, Spilly.
Eyes sparkling or not
Okay.
sparkling.
Yeah, can you take over for a
as they make
second?
their voices heard on the Senate floor, and then say nothing to stop a law that
All
makes
right,
it
cool.
illegal
Thanks,
to
Billy.
give water to Americans waiting hours in line at polling stations as they seek to simply have
Stream
their
match.
voices heard at the ballot box. Listen, my 5 times great-grandfathers, who were likely indentured servants without the right to vote, didn't fight in the Revolutionary War and earned that right to vote just so people claiming to be the leaders of our
All right.
generation
BRB,
could chip
take
away
it,
at the
Spilly.
fundamental idea that founded this nation, that everyone is equal. And my buddies and I and Senator Cotton didn't sign up to defend our democracy in war zones.
Blow it in
thousands
his
of miles
face.
away,
Yeah, I
only
give
to watch
Spilly
it crumble
shotgun
at the hands of
sometimes.
powerful people more focused on their own self-interest than in the foundational component of this extraordinary experiment we call America. That everyone, regardless
Yeah, I
of social
forgot you
status,
speak Spilly
wealth,
too.
skin
You're pretty
color,
good at
sex,
interpreting what
has
Spilly's
the
saying,
right
actually.
to vote.
You might speak Spilly
Page
better
after
than I
page
do,
in our
man.
nation's history is marred by bigotry, tainted by intolerance, by injustice. But through every chapter, however dark the night, some brave Americans have willed that there would be light. That march forward has always been to expand access to the polls, not to decrease it. We expanded access for those who didn't own land, for Black Americans after the Civil War, for women, for all Americans. In World War II, Black Americans fought overseas for the same country that forced their families to sit at segregated lunch counters back home. Then they came home and were forced to guess how many jelly beans were in a jar before they themselves could vote in a country that they had fought for. Asian Americans fought to end slavery in the Civil War, sacrificed to preserve this union, and then had their earned citizenship stripped away. Decades later, their grandsons fought in Europe even as their loved ones were interned in camps on American soil. And we march forward, and we march on, and we expand the right to the ballot box. In the 60s, white Americans hopped on buses and risked their lives freedom riding through the South so those with darker skin could walk into the ballot box without fear of billy clubs. And Americans from all backgrounds have packed their rucks, laced up their boots, and gone to war in places like Iraq, lost their lives in places like Afghanistan to defend the most American belief that we all have a voice and we all have the right to use it, including at the polls. Because voting to elect one's own government is the core of that right. I'm not asking anyone to do anything nearly as difficult as putting on a uniform and going to war, or crossing a bridge to be met with billy clubs. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that difficult today. I'm not asking my Republican colleagues to risk their lives on a bus or a bridge in the heat of the American South or under the scorching sun of a desert in the Middle East. All I'm asking for is the bare minimum. All I'm begging them to do is merely to not sit in silence in the face of grave injustice, to not let being partisan keep you from being a patriot. For the sake of all who have sacrificed for this nation, I at least refuse to remain silent. That's why I'm voting for these bills. That's why I'm trying to claw back some of the protections that Republicans have spent the last year trying to erode on the back of the big lie, including expanded voter purges, increased barriers for voters with disabilities, and harsher voter ID requirements. That's why I'm asking my colleagues who claim to represent the party of Lincoln, as a junior senator from the land of Lincoln, I ask you to act in a way that will further the cause of justice. That's why I'm working to restore the Voting Rights Act, to expand early voting and vote by mail, to limit special interest money in politics, and to actually try to protect underserved communities and our service members' rights to vote. Because not only can our country do better, we have done better back when we passed the Voting Rights Act all those decades ago. Not only can our chamber do more, we have done more, including the 16 Republicans who are still in the Senate today who have previously voted to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act. And we owe more to those heroes who fought these fights before us.
Oh shit, Billy, I forgot to give you a hit.
Those bridges, and those in power who broke, while those in power broke their bones, whose skulls were cracked, whose blood was shed, whose will never bent, whose determination never wavered. Those heroes who never let what was hard deter them from doing what was right. We owe it to each of them,
Jelly beans,
and to those whose rights are at risk today, to pass this bill. Thank you. I yield the floor.
There you go. That's Billy.
Okay.
Wow, shit. Spilly, did you get high off that fucking hit?
The anniversary, the Supreme Court's tragic decision in Roe versus Wade. You might ask, what does that have to do with voting rights? It has a lot to do with voting rights, because after all, you can't have the right to vote without first having the right to live. Every year,
damn, you are high.
Thousands.
All right, Spilly, I'll take over from here.
Faithfully gathered here in D.C. and across this country to mark this dark day by marching for life and being a voice for the voiceless.
Marching for life.
This
what
year's
the
official
fuck?
March for Life comes at a turning point in our nation's history. On December 1st of last year, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on the landmark 15-week abortion case out of Mississippi, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health.
What does this have to do with anything? We're talking about voting rights.
This is the first case in our generation that presents the Supreme Court of the United States the best opportunity to right its historic injustice and finally overturn Roe versus Wade.
Oh, fuck you.
The Roe decision resulted in the deaths of more than 63
fuck this guy,
innocent
dude. Who the hell is this asshole?
63 million. In fact, as I stand here and speak today,
63 million.
2,363 preborn children are being killed in this country.
Good. Nobody wants them. That's why they're getting killed.
2,363 are killed.
They're not fucking children. They're fucking fetuses. You douchebag. Stop acting like they're people.
And intended for this world.
If they're people,
deprived of their lives.
Why don't they have social security numbers yet?
Unfit or simply inconvenient.
If they're people, why are they called? Why is there a different word for them?
Their own, far too many for far too long have ignored their.
It's a collection of cells.
Because of Roe, states
we already have enough unwanted children, you motherfucker. Stop trying to. And then, when the kids are born, you don't want them to have food. Like, you don't care if they don't have food and die of starvation. So fuck you. You don't care about people dying.
Just one of
this motherfucker,
nations. Dude. Past the point babies feel pain, all the way up until birth.
Dude.
It's barbaric.
Nobody fucking remembers being in the fucking womb.
Today, it's impossible to ignore the humanity of that little baby growing in the womb.
Dude, I wish someone would abort you, motherfucker.
4D ultrasound technology. We can watch babies grow.
Yeah, people.
We can watch them yawn.
Yeah.
Suck their thumbs.
He means
we've come a long way since.
Yeah, and you can watch them die of fucking starvation, and when they do, you'll be like, stop asking for a handout.
Roe will not.
So fuck you. You don't give a fuck about
ban abortion
people dying.
I'm sad to say that some of my colleagues are not.
He only cares about people who aren't born yet dying.
Ban abortions nationwide. It will return the power.
Even the fucking Bible says when the person takes their first breath, that's the beginning of life.
Americans are opposed to abortions after the first 3 months of pregnancy.
Even your fucking Bible says that, dude.
The majority of the American people.
So get fucked.
Because of Roe, their voices are being silenced. It's time for the Supreme Court to allow state and federal lawmakers to rightfully represent their constituents and protect the most vulnerable among us.
Most vulnerable.
It's time that we, as the United States of America, nations
you just got owned, dude.
In the world of human rights, recognize
that
what happens to be the theme of this year's March for Life, which is equality begins.
That was delayed.
The case before the Supreme Court gives the court a chance to finally restore justice and equality of the most vulnerable among us.
Oh, Montana, okay.
This nation's long history of progress and civil rights.
I don't know this guy at all, but I fucking hate him already.
In Dobbs' case, I was struck by something Justice Kavanaugh said.
And also, we're not debating. We're debating voting rights right now. Why are you talking about any of this shit?
There's a string of them where the cases overruled precedent.
This has nothing to do with voting rights.
Justice Kavanaugh cited most notably Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, which outlawed a separate but equal overturning Plessy v. Ferguson, decided in 1896. It took 58 years for the court to recognize the obvious truth that racial segregation was wrong and overturn its greatest error.
So then you're for voting rights? Oh, no, wait, you're not.
Showed tremendous courage as the lone dissenter from the court's decision in Plessy. Now it's taken 49 years for the court to consider.
So why he's not talking about it?
Life
He's talking about everything but that.
It's taken 49 years since Roe versus Wade for the court to reconsider this wrongly decided case. In the spirit of Justice Harlan, who
wrongly decided to you, motherfucker.
Quote,
yeah, women's fucking rights are wrong.
History, and that's Justice Byron White. Justice White.
It's the person who has the. You don't fucking decide what people do with their fucking bodies, dickhead. Aren't you the ones talking about small government all the time, but yet you want to tell people what to do with their own fucking body?
All due respect, I
constantly.
I find nothing in the language or history of the Constitution to support the court's judgment.
This motherfucker.
The court simply fashions and announces a new constitutional right for pregnant mothers, and with scarcely any reason or authority for its action, invests that right with sufficient substance to override most existing state abortion statutes. The upshot is that the people in the legislature of the 50 states are constitutionally disentitled to weigh the relative importance of the continued existence and development of the fetus.
If you don't want to get an abortion, you don't have to. It's not like people are forced to get abortions. What are you fucking talking about?
As an exercise of
what rights?
Power, the court perhaps has authority to do what it does today, but in my view, its judgment is an improvident and extravagant exercise of the power of judicial review that the Constitution extends to this court.
You know what?
The court apparently values the convenience of the pregnant mother more than the continued existence and development of the life or potential life that she carries.
The pregnant mother is the one
Whether
who
or not I might
should
agree
decide
with
this shit.
Values, I can in no event
this guy.
join the court's judgment because I find no constitutional warrant for imposing such an order of priorities on the people, the legislatures of the states.
Oh yeah? What do you think?
On sensitive areas such as this, involving as it does issues in which reasonable men and easily
Yeah, he's going to talk about anything but voting rights
to
here.
protect human life, and by investing mothers and doctors with the constitutionally protected right to exterminate.
This is not an abortion debate.
For the most part, should be left.
This is about voting rights.
And the political process.
You know why he's talking about anything but voting rights? Because he's against them.
Justice.
And he's trying to pretend like, you know, at the end he'll be like, and fuck voting rights or some shit. I yield my time.
Law and human rights, one that should follow Plessy v. Ferguson to the ash heap of history. In the Dobbs case,
which you go the ash heap of history.
Precisely this: correct this historic injustice, uphold Mississippi's 15-week abortion law. for the pro-life
abortion, our
overturning
yeah,
Roe's
your
life
body,
laws
our
to begin with.
choice. Yeah.
States across the country stand ready
But actually,
to protect
vaccines
life
are
and provide support for pregnant
not in
moms
my body,
facing
my
crisis
choice.
pregnancies.
Fucking argument though.
I pray this year's March for Life marks the final anniversary of Roe v.
Because
Wade.
you can,
and heralds the dawn of a new day,
you know,
where every life is protected.
You can't like.
I want to thank the thousands of Americans
Abortions aren't
across the country
contagious, is
who
what
will
I
be joining this year's March for
can't
Life.
give somebody an
I'd also like to
abortion
thank the
by
hundreds
like
of
coughing
Montanans
on
who
them.
joined me just last week in Helena's March for Life. I stand with you and will continue to fight to protect all life. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that my following remarks appear separately in the record. Without objection.
Dude, he didn't talk about voting rights
Last year,
at
we saw
all.
Democrats like Stacey Abrams and President Biden mislead the American people about Georgia's new voting law.
Yeah,
in fact, the Washington Post
no, they
fact checker
didn't.
wrote, and I quote, Biden falsely claims the new Georgia law ends voting hours early. That was given 4 Pinocchios by the Washington Post.
For Pinocchio? Okay, then what?
However,
tell us how it
today,
doesn't do
in
that.
this chamber, we've seen
Motherfucker.
several
No, you're gonna
Senate
move on.
Democrats challenge Montana's common sense election integrity laws championed by the Montana legislature, the
This
Secretary of
motherfucker
State of
talking about
Montana,
common
Krista
sense and
Jacobson,
shit.
and the Montana Governor Greg Gianforte. I want to set the record straight.
All right, set it straight, buddy.
Montana put in place some common sense
I'm ready.
reforms that enjoy the strong support of Montanans, like strengthening voter ID laws and
Okay.
preventing paid ballot harvesting. There have been some things said here on this floor frankly not true. Ballot harvesting is still okay in Montana. You just can't pay people to do it.
Okay,
In fact,
that's
there was
fine. No one
statements
cares
made
about that.
somehow
We're talking
student
about.
IDs are not allowed anymore to vote.
We're talking about.
That
Okay, do
somehow
you
that's
allow
going to
mail-in
end
voting?
democracy. Well, listen. Under current law, first of all, most students have a valid driver's
Deciding
license
to be
in Montana.
Selfish
But if you
playground. In fact,
didn't,
literally hundreds of people. Exactly. They're two totally
the requirement
fucking
is
different
this, and I
things.
Take this chapter and verse out of the Secretary of State's site. You can still use a
Yeah,
student
you're gonna
ID
give
to
everybody
vote in
IDs?
Montana.
Okay, well,
You
not
just have
everybody
to
has
have
student
secondary
ID.
identification. That
Are you
could
gonna
be a
make
ski pass,
IDs?
a gym membership,
dude?
So long as both secondary
Gym
identification
membership?
types
Okay,
are presented.
are you gonna make all those
first of
free
all,
then?
Most students have valid driver's license.
Okay, not all of them do.
If you don't, you can still use a student ID. You just have to have a secondary identification
Okay,
type presented.
are all those
like a
free
ski
then?
pass, gym
As
membership,
long as it's
or
free
transport.
and everybody can get one
That
for
does
free,
not seem
then sure.
unreasonable, and the
I'm fine.
vast
Then it's not
majority
unreasonable.
of Montanans believe that
But
just makes sense.
Some people, including myself,
Furthermore, we've seen
have been in the position where you
questions.
can't
In fact,
get an ID, like because
Senator Schumer
you have to fucking.
made some accusations about Montana shortening the hours for elections. I found that a bit hilarious, frankly.
Hilarious.
Because here's what
Yeah, I
we
bet
did
you did,
in Montana
motherfucker.
is all voter registration activities are allowed now up until the night before the election. It's up until the day of the election. You are allowed to register to vote. Unlike
They
New
won't
York,
be. Yeah, that's why they're doing all
that
these
ends
voter suppression
registration
laws because they
25
know
days before
they can't
the
win.
election. I don't think it's going to be
The more people that vote,
Montana has
the less
far
chance they
easier,
have of
far
winning
better laws
because
here
they're
that
not
make it easier
popular.
to vote in Montana than they do.
They don't have
in New
any
York.
good policies that anybody
In
wants.
fact,
So,
regarding New York, the voters last
as a matter of
November
fact,
rejected
they're just
same-day voter
ridiculous people in
registration
general.
and rejected universal absentee voting. States
Yeah,
across
they've been cheating
this
for.
country have been working hard to ensure.
Last time these motherfuckers won, in the last 20 years, these people, they won 3 elections. The only time they won the popular vote was once in 2004. Only time.
Montana. It's a no-brainer to most Montanans.
They still
that
win
need
anyway,
a
even though
valid
they
ID,
lose.
A driver's
It's so
license to get a
stupid.
hunting or a fishing license, to rent a car, to get onto an airplane. Not to mention the fact
Okay,
that
not everybody has a
many
car,
liberal cities
airplane.
now across
You
our
fucking-
country, the Democrats are now enforcing ID checks to get into a coffee shop or sit down for dinner. So
Dude.
it's no wonder we're left a little confused here how President Biden, Chuck Schumer, the Senate
Nobody's
Democrats
asking for
wanna
ID
override
at dinner.
The will of Montanans.
They're asking for a vaccine.
Undermine our state
fucking
voter ID
pass.
laws when it comes to maintaining something as foundational as our democracy and maintain the integrity in our elections.
Okay,
If there's one thing Montanans are about, it's common sense.
Also, if they have mail-in voting, but they're against
falsehoods, misleading statements from the Democrats.
Talking about fear-mongering now. No, you guys would definitely wouldn't do nothing like that, right? Dude.
Mr. President.
Senator from
What?
Montana.
I wasn't going to speak, but I got to speak because I
dick.
just want to clear up the record on one thing, and I could clear up the record on a lot.
Clear up the record.
People
All
of the
right,
state
buddy.
of Montana voted for same-day registration. The people of the state of Montana went to the ballot box and voted for same-day registration. The state legislature repealed that. We should ask what the people of Montana really want. They want same-day registration.
Mr. President, I want to start by thanking all of the senators who have come to the floor to make the case for democracy and for voting rights. The right to vote is the heartbeat of our democracy. It's a symbol
And
of
say
the
fuck
progress that
everybody
we've made
that's
in this
against
chamber,
voting rights. How about that?
and the promise that we have made to the next generation of Americans. This legislation will protect the right to vote for all, safeguard against election sabotage and end partisan gerrymandering, limit the influence of dark money in politics so that billionaires and corporations can outbuy elections. Protecting our democracy should not be partisan.
You might not shouldn't have brought that up because now people are going to vote against it for sure.
Civic imperative for every one of us.
They want the corporations to
As
buy
a
elections.
former United States Senator from New Mexico said, the late Dennis Chavez, who served in this chamber for 27 years until his passing in 1962, said either we are all free or we fail. Democracy.
Yeah, if they make IDs
belongs to
free,
all of us.
we would be totally down with
Our
the ID
democracy
shit.
faces clear and present dangers posed by Republican-led state legislatures across the country. Some lawmakers want to curtail the right to vote. Not for all Americans.
Homeless people or anyone without an address get a free ID.
Historically disenfranchised.
I never heard of that. Maybe in a
And if we
certain
think it's
state.
bad
No, I
now,
don't think here.
With what's happened
Definitely
in these
not
state
Pennsylvania.
legislatures over the last few months, it's about to get a lot worse.
As far as I know, I mean,
History will not look kindly on inaction
can't spell.
at this critical moment, and
I can't
we
spell
will
any
show
day,
the
so-
American people that we will not flinch when faced with the choice to protect our democracy and let it crumble.
Well, we'll
before
see,
our eyes.
huh?
There's a
We know
pattern of
every Republican's going to
rampant
vote against voting
discrimination that
rights.
is
We already know that.
disenfranchising countless black and brown voters across this country. Now, in 2005, Jesus Gonzalez became a naturalized
Jesus.
citizen.
Jesus
On the
Gonzalez.
same day, he swore an oath to the United States. He sought to register to vote in Arizona.
Yeah, $25. That's why, yeah.
So he tried
When my
again
license got suspended,
after he obtained
it took me
license.
a while
And
to.
again,
I told this
rejected.
story before.
it was then that Mr. Gonzalez, a school janitor,
First of all, where I lived, the DMV, I had to take like, I think it was like two buses and a trolley or something to get to the fucking ID place, the DMV. And so it was hard for me to get there, first of all. So it took me like a couple months to get my ID. And then I just didn't have, I didn't have a lot of money, so. Yeah, it's not much when you have money, but like I've been in a lot of situations in my life where I didn't have $25 to spare, Yeah, it took me like 6 months or something to fucking get my ID. So it's not like these people just think everybody lives like them, like they always have money and they can get, everybody has a car and everybody has this, but that's not the case, especially there's, homeless people and fucking people who are couch surfing, which was what I was doing at the time. Like,
of their choosing.
That don't have any money. Like,
2017, MALDEF again sued
which
in
means
Texas
you can't vote.
after the city of Pasadena sought to weaken the Latino vote by changing the way elected city council
$25
members.
is a lot to me still, huh?
These are just some of the chapters
It's always
of a long history of voter suppression. Now, we also know that voter suppression of Native Americans is real. And it's intentional.
It's true. It is intentional.
Until 2020, North Dakota voter ID
Yeah,
laws
the money
required
order, right? I had to get the money order
residents.
too, and I had to take
Now,
the
that may
buses
sound
to
like
get there. It was like
common sense to some
$7 just to
But for those of us that
take
live
the
in rural
buses
communities
and
and
get
for
the
my
train.
brothers and sisters
That's
that
with
live
getting
in
transfers,
Native
and then you get,
American
you know.
We all grew up with rural route boxes. My address growing up was Route 1, Box 102. Not because I didn't want
You found
street
the link
address
for
named
it?
after my grandparents like it is today.
To get a free ID?
That was the address. Now, because of that law in North Dakota, many Native Americans like Richard Brakebill,
It is a
who
law,
a
yeah.
Navy veteran, had been denied the right to vote
Exactly.
because of an expired driver's license.
I pretty much
and
live-
a tribal ID that, get this, did not have a current.
Like, I just getting by is
And
the
at the
way I've
post
been
office
living
box,
for
That was his address.
quite a few
In
years.
2020,
Like,
the
most of my
candidacy
life, really.
Joseph Dedman,
Like, since
the
I've been
county
on my
sheriff,
own,
a
yeah.
member of the Navajo Nation,
Which
was challenged in Arizona
since I was 17
because
years
he
old,
included
I've been
post office boxes, which are often the only
just barely
form of
getting
an
by.
address
Like,
for rural Native American households. It's the only one they can obtain on his petition to office.
you know, because I have to work minimum wage
2020,
jobs. 'Cause
Arizona's
I
Pima
didn't go to,
County
I couldn't afford
closed the early
college,
voting
and
center
I was
in
afraid to go
Pasco
into
Yaqui
debt.
lands and spent nearly $200,000 in legal fees.
Yeah, I was afraid to go into debt, so I didn't go to college, and I'm actually glad I didn't. I wish I could have went there and took classes and learned. Like, I learned on my own. Like, you know, read or whatever the fuck, you know, read about different subjects and shit, but like the things that I wanted to do, there isn't really. Especially, I mainly want to be an artist, and I pretty much do art now and make money, and I didn't go to art school, so I'd be in debt if I did. I don't know. It's like, yeah, $7 for buses. Dude, buses are fucking expensive, especially here. Yeah. It might have been more than that. It was more than, it was like $7, I don't know. Yeah, it's like an hour's wage. Still to this day in Pennsylvania, that the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. So it's an hour's wage to take those fucking buses, and then what, like 5 hours wage to get the ID. So a lot of times you don't have that kind of money, you know. Like, if you're working minimum wage and just barely surviving, and you know. $45 in New York to get a photo ID? To renew a license? God damn, that's expensive. Aw, thanks, George. People like my 8-bit stuff. No one cares about any of my other art that I do. At least I can sell the 8-bit, like, the pixel art. And stream in the red. Stream in the red and green. Alright, we're good. Oh, let me... In a food desert. I lived in one too. Last place I lived was...
Said, and I quote...
Like an actual ghetto. Like I was the only white person that lived there. Like,
to 10 Republicans and 3 Democrat representatives.
And it was a food desert.
Because I do not believe it's
and
possible.
It was the only place that I had to stand in line for 2 hours to vote, and still didn't get the vote, and I had to leave and go to work, even though I've been standing in line all fucking day to vote. And that was when I lived in non-white area.
Supreme Court gutted the enforcement
When I lived in
provisions
white neighborhoods,
of
it
the
was
Voting
never
Rights
like
Act.
that.
Republican-led legislatures don't have to hide behind it any longer.
That's what I
Now
realized,
just
like,
say
wow, this
they're
is
going to draw for partisan advantage.
this is fucked
They're
up,
going to change
like the way they do
rules
this.
to keep certain communities from voting, making it harder for people to get to that ballot box.
Yeah.
This is nothing
And they're making
new.
it even
And
harder
shame
right
on
now.
all of us for not acting when the Supreme Court told us this in 2013. That's on all of us. But we're here today. We're also seeing an uptick in
45
violence
minutes
as a
to get to
result
Walmart, 30
of the lies
minutes
across the
get to a
country.
bus
The big
stop.
lie.
Damn,
The
that's
Department of Homeland
to
Security
get to a
has seen
bus
an
stop.
increase
That's
in calls
crazy.
for violence as
That's-
a result of these baseless claims.
That's
of fraud in
similar
the
to where I live now.
2020
It's, the
election.
bus stop's pretty fucking far
We're
away.
losing honest election officials and poll workers because of threats against their lives due to conspiracy theories and lies.
Yeah, there's
Pushed
no
by the former president.
public transportation out there.
The freedom
I
to
grew up in
vote
the country.
John R. Lewis Act will protect the vote of working families.
Yeah, haul
across
ass or riding a
the
bike.
country. And only one archaic parliamentary measure
15 an hour.
prohibits all this
Actually,
progress.
in America, if minimum wage was tied to inflation like it used to be in the 60s and up until 1979, that is when they stopped tying the wages to inflation in America, it would actually be $27.50 would be, so $20 more than what the fucking minimum wage is in Pennsylvania now, is what the minimum wage is supposed to be.
The Constitution.
And in turn, a lot of people who are working jobs that they should be getting paid, like, good money, they're getting paid what minimum wage should be, which is fucked up. I know nurses that are getting paid what minimum wage actually should be. Last time I looked it up, it's probably even more now because inflation just went up, like 4% or something, so it's Chuck
The
Schumer.
importance of us being here today goes right in the face of having this conversation and have debate. And I appreciate my Republican colleagues.
Last time I looked, it was $27.50, unless I'm wrong.
I, like Senator Kane, came to the Senate a bit naive.
Like in Finland, if you work at McDonald's, you get paid $22 an hour. Like they actually have been, their minimum wage has been going up with inflation
Misconsent
in Finland
at any time.
Countries like that, but
It's not the case.
I always simp for Finland because
This is not the Senate that
they do a lot of good shit over there.
Envisioned. Now,
Like they're
if you
actually
feel moved
fair to
oppose
their
a piece
people
of
with most shit.
legislation, if you're passionate about an issue,
And they
you should have
eradicated
the courage
homelessness
to come to the
in
Senate
Finland.
floor in front of your colleagues and the American people. You should not be allowed to phone it in.
12
behind
pounds?
closed doors.
What the fuck?
This chamber has changed.
I don't know what the exchange
Just
rate on that
as
is.
the times have changed. So it's the responsibility of every one of us to make sure that the
The
Senate
Finland
works
thing,
better.
yeah.
Not for us, but for
Nice.
the American people. Now, in
Jeez.
closing, in 1805, Vice President Aaron Burr suggested that the Senate remove from its
Aaron
rules
Burr.
the previous question motion, which allowed the chamber's simple majority to end debate on a bill. He viewed the rule as completely unnecessary and urged the Senate to clean up its rule book because after everyone spoke and debated, they'd vote. A year later,
Aren't you
the
guys
Senate
supposed to be
removed the
voting
previous
right
question
now,
motion,
dude?
leaving a loophole
Why
that
are they
allowed
not
the
voting?
minority to take advantage and use what
This
we
guy's
now
still
know as
talking?
the filibuster. Unfortunately, Burr could not foresee the obstructionism of decades to come.
All right.
In the following
I want to see you
decades,
guys vote.
post-slavery
Come on, that's what I'm
senators
here for.
co-opted the filibuster to protect the interests of white Southern enslavers. Men such as John Calhoun abused the filibuster to obstruct civil rights efforts. And according to historians, between 1917 and 1994, 30 measures favored by the sitting president, simple majorities in the House and Senate, half of which addressed civil rights, they all died. Thanks to the filibuster.
Yeah.
The same procedural tool proved to
True.
be even
Aren't
more
you
useful
supposed to be
to
voting,
Southern
though?
senators who sought to block civil rights legislation, including anti-lynching bills.
Also,
Not until 64 did the Senate successfully overcome a filibuster and pass important civil rights legislation and subsequent voting rights legislation. Now, history should act as a teacher to all of us, and history will remind us who voted today on the side of the people. I'm proud that this effort includes my Native American
$15?
Rights Act.
That's
will ensure tribes
fucking
and Native
ridiculous,
Americans
dude.
and Alaska Natives and voters on tribal lands will have equal
That's
access
what-
to the electoral
You
process.
said doctors? What?
Access to the ballot box is the cornerstone of
What?
our democratic system. And without
That makes
equitable
no
access
sense
to it,
at
we
all.
cannot stand
Are you
on the
sure?
world stage.
$15
and claim that we're all
an
winners in
hour?
the fight for liberty.
What?
Justice for all.
Or is it $15 a
My
minute?
Republican colleagues have proven time and again.
I thought doctors
that they're
made
not
a lot of
interested in
money.
acting
Maybe not
on
in
this
the
issue.
UK. I don't know.
Washington Republicans have
They
made
should
the
make
political calculation
a
that
lot
they
of
have
money.
a partisan advantage here. They are too comfortable shrugging their
Very
shoulders
important to our
and
society.
sitting on the sidelines while states chip away at the right to
So
vote.
is everybody's job, really. But
I know where I stand, Mr. President.
I mean,
All we're
doctors
asking
are
for today is the opportunity to vote on
one of
this
the most
critical piece of
important jobs.
legislation after everyone here has said their piece. I urge my colleagues to do the right thing today, to do right by our democracy.
yeah, our public
and to send the
transit
freedom
system
to vote
sucks.
John R.
here in
Lewis
America.
Act to the
Yeah,
President's
no
desk.
country
you
areas
all.
have. You have to have a car, yeah, out there. I haven't had a car in years. It's too expensive.
Senator from Nevada.
I've always been fine. If I usually have a friend that has a car or
democracy
something.
is
so.
extraordinary because it is built on the bedrock idea that through free and fair elections, the
Dude,
citizens
are you
who
guys? I
make
thought
up
you guys were
this
gonna
great
vote now.
country,
What the fuck?
well, they have a voice. That each person's vote truly matters. That in America, people have the power. But at this moment, our democracy is threatened.
Yeah, it is.
Republican
We
state
know.
legislatures
Just
and
vote.
governors all over the country are writing laws.
You're not gonna
designed to
convince
restrict
anybody
the right to vote.
by-
Make it harder for tens of millions of eligible citizens to cast their ballot and silence the American people's voice in the process. Make no mistake.
Yeah,
This is an unprecedented, coordinated attack to make voting harder for eligible citizens and make it easier for bad actors to sabotage our future elections. In my state of Nevada, we've bucked that trend when it comes to voting rights.
Bucked it.
We've strengthened the right to vote, providing easier access to the ballot box for eligible voters while ensuring fair elections. These measures that Governor Steve Sisolak signed into law include establishing a permanent vote-by-mail system, expanding the early voting period and making it more convenient to register and to vote. But while Nevada has moved forward to protect and strengthen
I
voting
found
rights, we are
the
not
Jesus
immune
one.
from the attempts to sabotage it.
It's in this folder for some reason.
Nevada. The leading Republican candidate for our Secretary of State stated that he would have refused, I repeat, would have refused to certify even with results Republican Secretary of State and unanimously by the Nevada Supreme Court.
I missed that one.
That same
It's been
candidate
too long.
opened the door to certifying alternate electors in future presidential elections in Nevada, contrary to the actual election results. And in Nevada, the leading Republican candidates for governor are promising to undo our progress and make it harder for Nevadans to vote because they refuse to accept the results of the 2020 election. They're pushing the former president's false conspiracy theories that fueled the January 6th insurrection. Attacks like these, they're a growing threat to democracy.
Oh yeah, she's cool. I just want them to vote because
We need to act.
I'm about as nervous about this as I am about getting my channel back.
We failed to do so here and now. New state laws
And I
will
feel-
result in hours-long lines at the polls.
I feel like about this is the exact same. I'm like super nervous about this, that they're gonna fuck voting rights, because all the Republicans are gonna vote against it, and they'll probably have like douchebag, a couple douchebag Democrats that are gonna fuck it up, And then it's the same exact way how I feel about getting my channel back. I'm just like, I'm fucked. Like, they're gonna tell me to fuck off. But that's what I feel about this. Like, but I just want to see them vote, so I know what's happening. But like, these speeches are just like, okay, yeah, we understand. Like, the Republicans are trying to get rid of voting rights for certain people. Like, we get it. You're not gonna convince them, make them feel bad. They don't have a fucking conscience. Like, they're not gonna feel bad about anything. Like, no matter what you say.
Maintain their voter registration
They don't give a
list
fuck.
and protect voters against unwarranted purges
Windows 11.
from the voter rolls.
Damn.
This way,
I didn't
those who should
even
be
know there was a
eligible to
Windows
vote
11.
can do so without hassle or harassment.
I haven't seen anything about
The
it.
Freedom to
I didn't
Vote
even know it
Act
was a
gives
thing.
Americans more choices on when and how they can legally vote through national standards for early in-person voting, expanded mail-in voting, and
I had this
finally,
for 2 days. I know we
making
watched it
Election
yesterday.
Day
And we're...
a national holiday.
Yeah, well, I agree with all this stuff. Yeah,
Because
make it a national holiday, but...
Even if you're a hardworking American who's busy working long hours,
Exactly. I had to
looking
leave
after your children,
just
caring
my
for a sick
anecdotal
relative,
story
you should still have
where I stood in line for 2 hours and fucking was waiting to vote, and I had to fucking leave because I had to go to work.
by requiring
I had to go catch my bus to go to work, so I didn't get to vote.
and
I just stood in line all the time. I was like so fucking pissed.
election records.
If you have to work, dude, you can't
The
like
Freedom to Vote Act would also
barely
take
have any
long-needed
time to
steps
fucking
to
go
end
vote
political
unless you.
corruption in our elections.
Depends on what time your
It would
job
accomplish this by protecting
starts and
U.S.
ends.
elections from foreign interference, by prohibiting false information.
I tried to go
designed
before
dissuade
work
eligible
because by the time I
voters,
get off, the
by
voting place is
promoting
closed.
Online ad transparency, and by putting an end to that dark money in our elections.
Yeah.
To borrow a few words from the late Congressman John Lewis, my former colleague from the House,
From
a
the
legendary civil
House.
rights leader and American hero for whom this bill is named, an inspiration to us all and to people all around the world.
Trigger a vote for
John Lewis said,
filibuster
and I
reform.
quote,
Okay.
"The right to vote is the most powerful tool in a democracy."
Target application. It was
I will
rejected.
repeat those words from John Lewis.
Oh, you were trying
Listen
to work at
closely.
Target?
The right
Damn, you
to
were
vote
rejected. What?
is the most
That
powerful
sucks.
tool in a democracy.
Oh man, I feel like I'm gonna
Each
be
person's
rejected
vote is their
from Twitch.
voice. It's every citizen's opportunity to weigh into what matters most to them. For
Yo,
their
that
family,
sucks,
for
though.
their community, for
I
their
like
country,
Target.
for the world. It matters. It is fundamental.
If I have to go
our
to a big ass
democracy,
store like that,
the
I'll go
very
to Target.
definition
I
of what
fucking
it
hate
means to be
Walmart.
an American citizen.
Walmart's like Chud
For
headquarters.
each and every one of us to stand up, to stand
Yeah.
tall, to get to the ballot
I
box,
go in
be
there,
able
I'm the
to
only
vote
one wearing
the
a
way
fucking
we choose
mask
and
and
have the
shit.
assurance that our
I
vote
fucking hate it
is
there.
counted. It matters. Each person matters. And so, if the Senate cannot move forward on this critically important legislation under the status quo, then it is time to reform the rules to restore the Senate to pass this legislation.
All right.
Because only then
Good.
can we protect our democracy's future
It is Chud headquarters, right?
for every eligible American,
Chud General.
for this generation, and for the generations to come.
It literally is. Like every time I go in there, it's just Chuds everywhere. With no masks running
Senator from
around.
Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. President.
They barely have fucking clothes
The
on.
Democrats' federal election takeover.
Oh, look at this
The
asshole.
president just gave one of his rare press conferences.
One of his rare press
It was only
conferences.
the second one he actually gave on American soil.
Who gives a
The White
fuck,
House seems to
dude?
think that the cure for Joe Biden's poll numbers is more communications from Joe Biden. And the press conference.
Nobody
went on
cares
for
about his
1
fucking
hour
poll
and
numbers, dude.
54 minutes. Well, the White House doesn't
Yeah.
have a communications
So what?
problem. It has an agenda problem. The American people understand exactly what President Biden and Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi are trying to sell.
Do they?
The American people aren't buying it.
What are they trying to sell
Democrats don't need a message reset. They need a better agenda for the nation. What we're about to vote on tonight
what are
has
they
nothing
selling?
to do with the priorities of the American people.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with coronavirus.
It has to do with
Has
voting
nothing to do with
rights.
40
You fucking...
high inflation numbers which are biting into the paychecks of the American people. It has nothing to do with the crisis
Shut
at the
heaven.
southern border, where 2 million illegal immigrants have crossed the border this year.
Oh, man.
Criminals among them, drug smugglers among them, gang members among them.
Yeah, my Walmart, I'm the only motherfucker in there wearing a mask. I'm like, dude, fuck this. I'm going to Target. I literally, last time I fucking turned around and walked out, because I seen everybody just like going fucking crazy in there. And I'm just like, dude, I'm out of here, dude. I'm the only motherfucker wearing a mask.
Democrats are ignoring what the American people are demanding.
And this was before.
So they can do what their radical fringe.
Last time I was, yeah, fuck you, I wish, bitch.
Democrats want elections to be run by Washington, D.C. instead of the 50 states.
No, that's what you guys are trying to do.
Very clear. It says the states run our elections.
Projecting.
Well, why do they want to take over our elections? Well, Democrats want to do things like banning voter ID laws. Now, 80% of Americans believe people should have to show a photo ID in order to vote. Senator Schumer has already twice tried to cram an election takeover bill down the throats of the American public. This is the third
Trying to cram it down our throat.
So far,
I'm trying to cram it.
Why has this continued to fail? Not simply because Republicans oppose it. It's failed because the American people oppose it.
No, we don't, you fucking
American
idiot.
people aren't looking for a federal government takeover.
You think American people are against voting rights?
People what they think is the most important issue.
That's what we're debating here right now.
Voting laws didn't crack the top 20.
Yo, voting rights should just be common fucking sense. That's why we shouldn't even fucking be debating it. Fuck you, dude.
Democrats' scare tactics on voting laws have utterly failed. Now Democrats are so desperate to change our voting laws to their advantage that they're going to try to break the Senate. That's what they're doing now. The Senate is supposed to be, quote, the world's greatest deliberative body. Some Democrats want deliberations to end forever.
Trigger.
Democrats claim they'll change our election laws and then they'll stop. One time only. Claim they'll only rig the game just once.
Yeah, unless you have to go there.
We all know that's not true.
Which is pretty much
They
never.
can't resist the temptation to rig the U.S.
Yeah, I haven't been
Senate
there
once.
since.
They won't resist the temptation
Like
to
20.
rig the rest of the government either.
I don't know, 2020 or something.
Once Democrats change the rules, there'll be no stopping them from doing everything they've ever dreamed. Pack the Supreme Court, add new states to the Union, amnesty for illegal immigrants, try to take away the guaranteed rights by the Second Amendment, you name it.
Dude, no one's trying to fucking
they
do
will.
that. No one's trying to take your
There's a
stupid
bill in the Senate right now to add 4 new
fucking
justices
guns.
to the Supreme Court.
Almost all of the
46
left I know
Democrats
is
in the Senate
pro-gun,
signed
dude.
on to a bill for statehood for the District of Columbia. It's almost the entire Democrat caucus.
You're fucking lying,
Democrats
dude.
have also introduced a bill to give statehood to Puerto Rico. These bills become law. Democrats know they'll get 4 more Democrat senators permanently.
Good.
One change to the Senate rules, and America would have a permanent one-party rule. Don't take my word for it on amnesty.
Well,
just months ago,
your party
Democrats tried to pass amnesty for 6.5
called the Grand Old Party, the GOP, is an outdated, fucking archaic party who has no fucking business being in modern day politics and should be destroyed. So, yeah, you know what we could do? Say, fuck your party, you're a bunch of fucking conspiracy theorist nut fucking balls, and, you know, make it. The Democrats can be the fucking right-wing party, because they're right-wing as fuck, and then we could have a leftist party in America, and that would be the 2 parties. How about that? Fuck you.
Have failed to persuade the American public
And fuck you.
to support this agenda. They know they'll never have bipartisan support to pass the radical amnesty for illegal immigrants, never have bipartisan support to ban voter identification, never have bipartisan support for taxes and punishing regulations that continue to drive up the cost of energy.
Shut up.
Never persuade the Americans radical, extreme, dangerous, and scary agenda. Yet, rather than change the agenda to comply with what the American people want, the Democrats want to change.
You guys never do what the fucking American people want.
So desperate for this radical agenda, they're willing to destroy the Senate. Democrats have a long list of partisan bills that they'd like to pass. All of these bills have two things in common. They have nothing to do with improving the lives of the American people as the American people see it today.
Fallon can't own it. Damn, that sucks.
And they give more power to the Democratic
Who's this yuppie? I don't know. He's fucking getting me triggered,
though. Let me remind my colleagues that there is an election in November. In the last election cycle, 7 Democrats ran for president saying they would change the rules of the Senate. They all lost. Democrats who said they'd change the rules lost key Senate races in swing states, including
exactly,
Montana,
Anya Harris.
Maine,
That's exactly what we want, and this motherfucker is against all that shit.
People have spoken loud and clear. They don't want to see this Democrat power grab. American people want us to focus on their priorities. It's up to them to tell us what's important.
Your fucking party doesn't do that, so we have to deal with the Democrats, even though they're douchebags too.
Securing the border, not a bigger power grab for politicians.
Dude,
the Democrats in this body seem to have forgotten the people that they were elected to serve. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. You know what?
Who seeks recognition? The senator from Delaware.
What do you think about that guy, Spilly? I agree. Damn, Spilly. Tell him how you really feel.
President and colleagues, as today's debate...
Whoa, shit! Spilly, don't say that. That might be TOS.
Advancement Act.
Good thing that
years ago,
nobody,
the United States,
most people can't speak Spilly, or we got shut down right
I was
there.
fortunate to win a Navy ROTC
Chill, Spilly. I told you, you get us in trouble.
To attend Ohio State. During my freshman year there, a spring break opposed our commanding officer, calling a bunch of us freshmen.
I know, holy shit.
And he said, I got a deal for you. How'd you like to have an all-expenses-paid trip to Quantico, Virginia over spring break? And that's where the Marine officers trained after going to college. We all raised our hands and said, count us in. On the way...
oh, that's who that was. Delaware, huh?
One day off. We took a train to Union Station.
Oh, no wonder. They kept saying, oh, Joe Biden's home state is voting rights are fucked up. That guy is one of the representatives.
I chose to visit Capitol Hill. It's a place I'd never been. That day, I walked up
what is this story?
Past this building, somehow find my way into the Rayburn House office building, just a short distance from where we're gathered today. I walked up to a security officer there and asked if there are any hearings underway that I might try to sit in on. He said, yep.
Sitting on my dick.
Directed me to a long line and leading to the House Judiciary Committee room. And after a long wait, I finally had the chance to find a seat and watch in person the debate over what would later become the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Amazing.
I was glued to that seat for hours, mesmerized by what I said and what I heard. Later,
well, that's who this is. Oh, the last guy was Tom Barrasso. Oh, man, I hated that guy.
My friends asked me what I had found on Capitol Hill.
This guy has a flag lapel pin, so
my future.
Anybody who has one of these, I'm skeptical of.
That day and in the days to come, those hearings inspired by the civil rights movement forced a spotlight.
It sucks the chuds ruin the American flag for everybody, but they ruin everything, so...
To vote 100 years after the end of the Civil War. Years earlier, my sister and I had grown up in Danville, Virginia, the last capital of the Confederacy. There we saw racial discrimination up close and personal.
Yeah.
Even as children, we knew it was wrong, and we knew it had to change. Sitting in Rayburn, years later, I found the place where I thought, just maybe, I might be able to help do something to right that wrong. Nearly 18 years later, Since sitting in that hearing room, after I'd finished my studies and completed my 3rd deployment to Southeast Asia as a naval flight officer during the Vietnam War, I found myself back on Capitol Hill in these halls.
What up,
This time
homie?
serving alongside of John Lewis and the House of Representatives. And after years of blatant discrimination and voter suppression, specifically targeted at black Americans.
Given to every
we began to
senator?
witness change.
Well, that's why
It
I'm
came slowly at
skeptical.
first, and then more quickly. Thanks to the tireless efforts of people like our friend John Lewis, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 gained increasingly popular bipartisan support over the years. In fact, as we heard earlier, by 2006, the vote to extend the Voting Rights Act was unanimous. Imagine that. 98-0. Think about it. 98-0. And today, 16 to the 90.
No, what I noticed is it's mostly chuds who
are still here.
rock a fucking little flag pin like right on
Given that history,
the
however,
side
it's
of their
almost
shirt.
unbelievable to think that the right to vote
In the
is under
Senate or
attack once
not.
again in many parts of our country. Today, in states across America, state legislators and some governors are seeking to enact a wave of voter restrictions, many of them with the sole purpose of making it harder to vote, often specifically targeting black Americans. In 2021 alone,
All right, so
19
this guy's
states passed some
cool,
34
I guess.
laws restricting the right to vote. How? Well,
how?
By allowing partisan observers to intimidate independent poll workers in Texas.
I guess we might have to watch the vote when I come back because I gotta go to the store
out of the hands
soon.
of voters and imposing penalties for poll workers in Florida who are just trying to do their jobs. In Georgia, it's okay
I have to
make
go to the store before
the
it
poll lines
closes.
longer and longer, but you can't bring food or water to the voters who wait in them sometimes for hours to vote.
I thought they were gonna vote at 6:30.
We know that in many parts of America, black voters have to wait in lines for twice as long as white voters to cast their ballots. Twice as long. And in some places for up to 6 hours. That's not just moral wrong, and it's an assault on who we
I
are as a
know
people.
from experience.
How can we look at what's happening?
The story that I told about stuck being in line for 2 hours at the voting place. I never even got inside the building, and it was too late. I had to go to work. I had to go to catch my bus to go to work, so I never got to vote. And that's when I lived in a black neighborhood. That's the only time that happened to me. When I lived in white neighborhoods, I was in and out of the voting place in like 20 minutes. Yeah. So I've
the idea that we ought to treat
experienced
people
it myself.
We want to be treated. Most Americans would be surprised to learn that admonition is repeated almost weekly in multiple Bible studies and prayer breakfasts that are regularly held here on Capitol Hill throughout the year.
Oh, running errands. Fuck capitalism and ACAB. Hell yeah.
Ethnic and party lines, that the person across from us is just as valuable as us.
Yeah, we're going to do What the Fuck Wednesday after this. I'm going to start a new
Our
stream.
loved ones are.
We're just we watched
1965, the Golden Rule was
Biden's
a
thing, and
foundational
now we're
principle
watching
for
the
equality
Senate.
in the Voting Rights Act. Congress was guided
We're
by
gonna.
it.
I gotta
In
go to
fact,
the store,
every
and
major
then I'm gonna come
religion on
back
this
and start a
planet
new stream.
Embraces it.
Do
I
What the
don't care
Fuck
if you're
Wednesday.
Protestant, Catholic, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, and it goes on. The Golden Rule is in your teachings, in your beliefs, and you hear it here in this body, in this building, week in and week out. Maybe, just maybe, it's about time for us to rely on it once again in this land of the free as we seek to connect our values and our faith to our actions.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Most of us will recall
Yeah, you
both
said
Dr. King in the preamble
the
of
thing that
Constitution
it starts at 3
called on us
minutes.
to work
I
to
didn't
make
watch
this
it,
a
but yeah, I
more
was gonna
perfect
get it. I
union
was gonna watch it
and
for.
fulfill the promise of our
I don't
founders
know,
that
what
all
the
men
fuck.
and women are created equal. And while across our country today, we're seeing
Yeah, I
a
saw it
growing
in
wave
there.
of voter restrictions, I'm reminded of what Martin Luther King said many years ago. He said this, he said, only when it's dark enough can we see the stars. Think about it. Only when it's dark enough can we see the stars. And sometimes it's only when we are testing
Yeah, prayer meeting and Bible studies.
Shows itself.
Dude.
I pray that this is just one such time. So while none of us
Hell
hope to
yeah.
ever face these challenges in our democracy,
I
to
know
our
it's
democracy,
7. I was gonna
in the year
end the
2022,
stream
perhaps
at 7,
we can
so
take
I
some
could-
comfort in knowing that
Oh,
someone
you gotta
else
go to
has
the store
walked this path
too.
before us. All
right, homie. I'm probably gonna get off here soon too, so I can. I need to go to the store before it closes.
Now that Dr. King spoke.
And then I'm gonna come back on. I guess if we'll watch them vote, if they vote, just to see. I want to see what the vote is. Like, we're probably gonna get owned on this, and probably they're, you know, it's gonna be a loss for voting rights. But I mean, we'll see. Who knows? But hell yeah, Minutes. Love you, homie. I'll see you later. I need to go soon too, and then I'll be back and we'll do What the Fuck Wednesday. GOP wants a Christian. Yeah, they want a fucking theocracy, basically, in this. A lot of them even admit it.
What we as a nation aspire to be. It makes
That's
clear
true,
that no one who is eligible should be denied the sacred right to vote. Let me close, colleagues, by observing that in the end, we can quote Dr. King and praise my friend John Lewis until the cows come home.
Till the cows come home.
When Americans' sacred right to vote is on the line, it's our responsibility to uphold our oath to the Constitution and get on with it.
I need to change the name of this.
I don't know. I never knew Dr. King. I knew John Lewis, know him well, love him. But I don't know if Dr. King or John Lewis were fans of Mark Twain. I am. And I want to close by
Mark Twain's all right.
The words of Mark Twain. And this is that paraphrase. When in doubt,
what the fuck?
do what's right. You'll amaze your friends and confound your enemies. Well, friends, time has come to do just that, to do both of those things. And that's why no barrier should stand in the way of our sacred obligation to protect this democracy. And with that, I yield the floor. Thank you.
Voting rights.
Mr. President, Senator from Idaho. Mr. President, the current voting rights proposals, or so-called voting rights proposals that the Democrats are proposing, are not about increasing access to the ballot box.
Yes, they are. That's all it is.
According to the Washington Post, the 2020 election saw the highest voter turnout in 120 years.
Wait, why is it not letting me?
94% of the voters said that voting
Change
is
the
easy.
name. Oh, it's too long.
These bills are really
all right, fine.
a power grab that would circumvent and federalize our entire elections process, stripping states of their constitutional authorities. These power grabs would force taxpayers to pay for political campaigns, expand the practice of ballot harvesting, prohibit important voter ID laws, keep the
dark gang thing covering up my
moved out
face?
of the area on registration rolls, and federalize election laws, which would violate the U.S. Constitution's clear directive that states administer the elections. To name just a few. Article 1, Section 4 of the United States Constitution delegates election
90%
processes
Christian.
to the states.
Yeah.
This is a union of 50 states. States are the best equipped to implement and enforce election policies that protect the integrity of all future
This
elections.
guy's fucking
And although many who have spoken
argument
today
states'
would have you
rights.
believe that the states across this nation are seeking
Got
to
'em.
violate the rights of American citizens and restrict their access to voting, the laws that are being proposed and adopted by the states are doing just the opposite. They are helping to expand voter access and improve security at the polls.
Wrong.
There are a lot of myths and untruths running rampant because the Democrats seem to want the public to think
Wrong.
there is this widespread voter suppression
That was the wrong
in
sound.
Republican-led states,
Wrong.
which there is not. Myths and the facts. Myth. Republican state legislatures are enacting laws that will roll back.
I don't know who this douchebag is, but he's a piece
The
of
fact
shit.
is that the states are expanding early voting. Georgia's bill, for example, which has been attacked, allows for and
should be
provides
attacked.
for mandates 17 days of early voting, with 2 additional optional Sundays of early voting.
What about fucking
The list goes
mail-in
on.
votes?
Arizona allows
You got rid of
26 days.
You guys are
Iowa
trying to get
allows
rid of
20
mail-in
days.
voting
Texas,
during a
another state that has
pandemic.
been attacked,
You fucking
allows
dickheads.
17 days. The fact is, the states are expanding early voting.
No, fuck off.
Myth. States are implementing voter ID for vote by mail in order to disenfranchise voters. the fact.
How are they going to do voter ID
As
vote by mail?
is increasing in the states, and the states are implementing some of the same safeguards.
Yeah, I think they're going to be going. I'm going to have to go
that are used for
soon.
in-person voting to ensure a secure election, such as voter ID, which the legislation before us seems to want to prohibit. Recent polls show that 80% of the people support being required to show ID in order to vote, including 62% of Democrats. Myth. Prohibiting ballot harvesting and requiring people to vote in their own correct precinct constitute discrimination, outlawed by the Voting Rights Act. Fact. In a recent Supreme Court case, the court ruled 6-3 against this claim. Arizona law mandates that voters must vote in their assigned precinct, and those who vote early by mail cannot have anyone other than a household member, a family member, a caregiver, a postal worker, or an elections official collect their ballot. In other words, supervised ballot collection. This law effectively bans the practice of ballot harvesting. The Democrats seem to want to expand, even mandate ballot harvesting in the legislation we are being asked to support tonight. Myth. States are improperly purging eligible voters from their voter rolls. Fact. States are taking reasonable measures to ensure their voter rolls are accurate, which makes elections more efficient and fair. States are simply implementing a time-honored practice of cleaning up voter lists, removing voters who have died or who have moved or who have been declared incompetent by a court.
Declared incompetent?
A time-honored practice.
They declared
in many
Britney
of the states
Spears
across this
incompetent,
nation.
dude.
Recent changes in Georgia to prevent people from giving bottles of water is inhumane and targets minority communities. Fact.
What the?
The law allows poll workers to set up self-serve
Some of
water
these What the
stations
Fuck
for
Wednesday
voters to
videos
use.
ever.
The
Pretty
statute
goddamn
prevents
crazy.
political organizations
All right.
from giving people in line things like meals, water, or gifts. Once again,
We can
this
watch
is
these
a
blowhard.
long,
Yeah.
honored
I want to do
practice
some What the
in our
Fuck
states.
Wednesday
This
stuff
law of
anyway here.
anti-electioneering or anti-vote
We'll look at a
buying
couple.
is standard practice in many states, including many of my colleagues' blue states.
See,
like
give
New
a little
York,
preview
New
of some What the
Jersey,
Fuck
and President
videos
Biden's
that I
home
got.
state of Delaware. So let's get into the filibuster. The argument is, since the Republicans won't accept these wrong-directed reforms, so-called reforms of our election laws, that we should eliminate the filibuster in the Senate.
Yeah.
That is the last thing that should be done in this Senate.
Oh, really?
President Biden himself has argued against eliminating the filibuster, and according to a recent report, Democrats used that filibuster over 300 times in 2020. In 2005...
Yeah, whatever, dude. So tonight on What the Fuck Wednesday. Yeah, I know, I'm kinda cute animal videos. If you get some crazy animal videos, well, what? I have some animal videos, but here's a video of a What the Fuck video. It's a tornado. Yo, Spilly! What the fuck? Dude, here it comes! Holy fucking shit! Damn, that's fucking crazy. What the fuck? You're going to the grocery store? Oh, dude, I'm about to go to the store too. I'm not going to the grocery store, but... Alright, homie. Yeah, I'm about to leave too and go... Go to the store too, so... and then we'll be back with What the Fuck Wednesday videos. This is pretty good. Here's a snake chasing this dude around the golf course. Oh shit, dude, look, it's a snake! Run, motherfucker! It's like tied to his leg or something. They're like tricking him. Oh fuck, here he comes, dude! Run, motherfucker! Yeah, it's gonna get you, dude.
No, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake.
He doesn't realize it's fake. What the? What a dumbass. Love homie! Biden sus, true. Fuck Joe Biden. What up, Leah? Here's a Spilly video I already showed, but in front of the window filming a tornado and what the fuck? Tornado Alley? What up? What up? Chillin'. I'm about to leave actually and go to the store, and then I'm gonna come back with what the fuck Wednesday stream where we're gonna watch videos like this. Look out, Spilly! Oh, what the fuck? Here comes Spilly. Here he comes. Oh shit! What the? Damn! Alright. So, yeah, we're gonna watch the craziest videos I can fucking find on the internet. Man, I don't know if I can even show this one. This motherfucker gets ran over, but he's okay, and then dude runs over him again. What the? Spilly. Looks like something fucking Spilly would do. Yeah, here. I'll show it on this stream, so. Alright. This is the last what the fuck video I'm gonna show until we do the what the fuck stream, but here comes this fucking guy. Whoa, shit! Oh, fuck you, dude! You ran him over, stop! No, don't go backwards! What the fuck? What an asshole. You alright, dude? God damn it. Dude, that driver's a fucking idiot, dude. He ran over him twice. What the Jesus Christ. Take their conversation off the floor. Wait, what? Did that just happen? I still have it up. Who the fuck is this?
Presiding officer, I sat there for
who the fuck are you?
And listened to the debates and heard many I found extremely good, and then I heard some others. But I appreciate the fact that I had the opportunity to hear so many other senators in both parties speak.
Are they gonna vote? If they're gonna vote, I'm gonna stay until they vote.
Protecting everyone's vote on a ballot and how important that is. I know that because in my own state of Vermont, and when I first ran,
oh, it's from Vermont.
Republican state.
Oh shit, Bernie
I've
state.
been on the ballot between my times as state attorney and
Bernie.
Between primaries and general elections, I've been
I'm
on
a
the
Bernie
ballot
simp.
in Vermont 24 times. I never questioned that the ballots would be counted accurately and honestly, even though in several of the elections, 80 to 90% of the people counting the ballots were the town clerks, and they were Republicans.
We have order in the Senate, please. Take your conversation off the floor.
Oh, is this that part? Take your fucking conversation off the floor, dumbass.
24 times, I think the Senate works. And I can also say with seniority comes a bit of experience. This is my 48th year here in the U.S. Senate. Having been elected by those same Vermonters I praise for the way they...
Yeah, I just saw that.
The ballot 8 times.
Am I behind?
Still the only Democrat since the United
No, I'm only
States
like a
Senate
second behind.
Voters of Vermont. I've become the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. The former chairman.
I'm 2 minutes behind. Never mind.
Judiciary and Agriculture Committee.
So I'm gonna skip past this.
3 times to be elected as president pro tempore.
Or I'm gonna get to where
Here,
I'm
there.
live. Okay. Now this is
Where
live.
You can easily make it easier.
Dude. Maybe I was better off being a minute behind.
Easier to vote, not more difficult. Are we really going to turn back the clock to an era where state and local jurisdictions
That's what Republicans want to
blatantly
do.
discriminate against certain voters?
I mean, they're called conservatives.
Yes,
They
people
want to
colored by
conserve
voting
the
populations
old times.
by
Like,
simply rigging the system.
that's the whole point of their party.
Or changing the map.
The grand
Erase
old
the progress
party.
of generations, make meaningless the fights of lions like John Lewis, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and so many others. Is that really what we stand for?
That's what the
In
Chuds
this
stand
century,
for.
Were we elected by our constituents to flatly obstruct any action in this body simply because our party is not in the majority? Or were we
That's what the Chuds.
elected to tacitly agree with a prescribed agenda? The Senate, those who stand in it, owe more to our constituents and to this nation than blind party loyalty. We owe it to the nation to do what is right. We owe it to our conscience to do what's right. Partisan disagreements, divisions, stalemates dot the pages of our young nation's history when you go back and read it.
PBS, yeah, that's what I'm watching right now. PBS NewsHour. Yeah, chat's disabled right here, it says.
So I'd ask the question of our 2 leaders. Mr. Majority Leader, should we not have a debate, a real debate in these issues, with amendments unbound by deadlines or time limits? But in answering that, I also ask the Minority Leader, do we not have an obligation to Americans?
All right, nothing else. Nothing's going on yet. Yeah, they disable, probably because they get trolled constantly. Dude, I've seen like, when they don't have it disabled, I've seen people like posting like Nazi symbols and shit, and like all kinds of crazy shit. The Trump people come in there and be like, Trump won, and fucking, you know. I've seen it in Bernie's, like when Bernie does a live stream, I've seen the Chuds like come in there and they'll be like, Bernie's a communist, Trump won, like all this shit, you know. That's probably why they do it, because all the goddamn trolls. Use a troll. Yeah. But we gotta chat so we can.
We must decide whether it be the politics of exclusion or the justice of inclusion that be the indelible mark of the 117th Congress. And we must decide the Senate envisioned by our founders can be restored. The giants, the lions of the Senate, are the members who rise above to meet these moments and have
Rise
the courage
above, we're gonna rise
to do what is
above,
right.
we're gonna rise above.
If our job were easy, anyone could do it. But throughout history, fewer than 2,000 Americans have had the honor, the privilege, the responsibility to hold the title of United States Senator. I've been proud to serve with one out of
I know, it does suck to have it there now.
Some I agreed with.
I think it's probably because of all the trolls, though. I can see.
I can say this.
I almost guarantee that's why.
Today are caretakers of
Because
legacy
every
crime
political
leaders
thing that I saw that did have the chat on,
we shoulder the responsibility
there's
of
chuds
the
in there
nation
posting Nazi symbols and fucking saying the N-word, like
instituted among its people, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And I fear that if we let this moment, this pivotal moment, pass us by with no debate, no action, no advancement,
let this moment pass
we'll
by.
be derelict in our duty. But we'll betray the very oath we swore when we stood in front of the desk you're sitting in, Mr. President. We pledge to defend the Constitution, to continue the endless goal of forming a more perfect union. We should pass the freedom to vote, the John R. Lewis Act. We should, at the very least, have the courage to debate it. I feel such a privilege.
I know. I feel like I'm gonna miss something too.
In Vermont.
I have to go to
such a privilege to have been on the ballot 24 times.
fucking store, and I have to piss right now too.
Because
I'm
I
just gonna
can
go take a
always
fucking
trust
piss real quick.
everybody that wanted to vote could.
Hit it, Spiller. Take it over.
Today, we have the technology, we have the ability to have far more people vote. Don't we owe it to this country? Don't we owe it to our oath of office to do that? I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Another senator from Vermont.
All right, we're running out of senators from Vermont. I think that's it. Mr. President, let me begin by thanking a number of my Senate colleagues who have worked so hard on this issue. Let me thank, among others, Senator Merkley, Klobuchar, Booker, Warner, King, Leahy, Durbin, Kane, and others for their efforts on this important issue. Mr. President, I will be brief because there is not a whole lot that I can add to the excellent statements that so many other senators have made, but let me just say this. For some, the issue we are debating today may seem complicated, to be understood only by lawyers, constitutional scholars,
let's
and
go!
those handful of people who actually understand the opaque.
Yeah! Alright, we're definitely staying for this.
So I just want to say that if that
Let's
is
go,
what
Bernie!
you're wrong. What we
You're
are
wrong.
debating today
You're
is
fucking
not
wrong.
complicated.
I wrote the damn bill.
It is really quite simple, and here is what it's about. Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election. Period.
True.
You may have liked that result, or you may not have liked it, but he won. He won in an election that Donald Trump's own Department of Homeland Security determined to be the most secure election in American history.
It was live
After
streamed.
the election,
The counting of
Trump
the
and his
votes were
supporters
live
filed more
streamed.
than 60 lawsuits in state and federal courts.
And they were all thrown out of court,
repeating
even by
their false
Trump
claims
appointed
and
judges.
trying to reverse the election results.
Let's
These
go,
lawsuits
Bernie.
were rejected time and time again.
I know.
with
I'm so happy
judges
Bernie's
that
on.
Trump himself appointed.
I was almost about ready to go.
Nonetheless, the
But I'm
former
gonna watch
president
Bernie for
continued to claim, and to this day continues to claim, despite all of the evidence, that the election was stolen and that he actually won in a landslide.
Yeah. What a
Not
fucking
only
sore
are his
loser.
statements and actions delusional, they are worse. In repeating this big lie over and over again, he not only
Over
cast
and
doubts
over again.
about the 2020 election, but in fact, in a disgraceful and unprecedented way for a president, he is undermining the very foundations of American democracy. Shamefully, Republican leaders all across this country, including Republican members of the U.S. Senate, either repeated Trump's lies or tried to walk a very, very thin line around them. Trump's one-man dominance over the Republican Party
They might
is
be
now so strong.
They weren't yesterday,
that
but
few
they might be
Republican
today, because if
officials
this
are prepared to state
Yeah,
openly
Vermont
what they know
would be like
in
down
their hearts to be true.
almost at the
And
end of the
that
list.
is
So.
that Trump is a pathological liar and a threat to democracy in this country and our very way of life.
Very true.
In any
Get him,
case,
Bernie. Fuck him up.
The predictable result of all of this was that Republican governors and legislatures all over this country saw Trump's big lie and fear-mongering as an opportunity, a golden opportunity, to solidify their political positions. Acting under the guise of voter integrity, despite the fact that our nation has very little voter fraud, thank God, they proceeded to pass election laws in 19 states that make it harder for people to vote, with a special focus on people of color, young people, poor people, and people with disabilities.
Yeah,
People
Bernie.
who
I know
might
he's
be
fucking awesome.
inclined
No
to
state.
vote against them. In many cases, they also created
Yeah, I'm a
election
huge
districts
Bernie fan.
through extreme gerrymandering that have no rationale other than to make certain that Republicans retain control over state legislatures. In other cases, they are cutting back on the authority of independent election officials and giving that power to partisan legislatures. Today, in order to address this crisis in American democracy, members of the Senate will be casting two very important votes. The first will be the Freedom to Vote Act. And this bill goes a long way to end voter suppression and, in fact, make it easier, not harder, for American citizens to vote. It establishes automatic voter registration and online voter registration. It celebrates democracy by making Election Day a national holiday so that people can vote at a time other than after work.
Or before.
It establishes uniform early voting and same-day registration. This bill also ends partisan gerrymandering and roots out the undue influence of special interest money in buying election. Imagine that. Imagine that. We would actually know the names of billionaires who put huge amounts of money into super PACs that buy elections. What a terrible thing. We actually know who these people are. This bill would also provide increased protection in the voting process for voters with disabilities, the military, overseas voters, and underserved communities, and much, much more. This is a very significant piece of legislation.
What a terrible thing to know who these people are.
Why in a nation that has a history of denying the vote to African Americans, denying the vote to Native Americans, denying the vote to women, denying the vote to low-income whites, why would any fair-minded person be in opposition to make it easier for all citizens to vote? That's what I understood when I went to elementary school. You know, you play by the rules, you do your best. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. That's the process. But no one ever told me that what politics is about is working overtime to try to prevent people from voting just because they might vote against you. Our job should be to increase voter turnout, make it easier for people to participate, which is what this legislation does. I want this country to have the highest voter turnout of any nation on earth, not one of the lowest. But let's be clear. This enormously important bill, a bill to protect the foundations of American democracy, will fail. It will fail because, according to Senate rules, it will require 60 votes to pass, and in a 50-50 Senate, not one Republican will vote for it.
True.
It will
exactly what I said.
That 50 votes, which, with the Vice President casting the tie-breaking vote, would be enough to pass this legislation under majority rule.
Yeah.
it will not get 60 votes.
Yeah, obviously.
All of which brings us to the second vote, which is really the most important vote of the day. That vote will determine whether
See, Bernie's actually talking about what their vote, like,
speeches that we give.
He's like actually talking about like what the fuck's going on. Everybody else is
will
like,
in fact become law.
You know,
and that
talking
is
anything but
change Senate rules
what
and
they're voting
establish
on.
a talking filibuster, a process which gives the minority an enormous amount of time to object to legislation and voice their concerns. The minority, whether it is a Democratic minority or a Republican minority, would have days and days and days to slow the process down, to rally the American people around their ideas. But they would not have forever. At the end of the time allotted, a majority vote would prevail, which in my view is what a democratic society is all about. Is changing the Senate rules a radical
The blurry graph, yeah.
First time in history we're about to do it. Never been done before. Oh, well, really?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
No, because every member of the Senate knows the rules get changed on a fairly regular basis.
Talk like a real person. I know, for real.
Just a few months ago.
He's like
in order to raise
one of the only politicians in our
prevent our government
in
from
America
defaulting
in
on
general
its loans,
that
the rules were changed.
doesn't act like
so
a
that
fucking
a
robot.
50-vote majority would prevail.
There's some
We
crazy
changed
shit
the
going on
rules
outside.
appropriately, and we prevented a default
Sirens and shit.
and a massive worldwide depression. Just a few years ago, my Republican colleagues who were so adamantly against changing rules, well, my goodness, they changed the Senate rules to allow 50 votes to confirm the president's nominees to the Supreme Court. Oh, my goodness, how shocking.
Got 'em.
And they got 3 conservative Supreme Court justices as
Yeah,
a
they
result.
did.
Rules get changed around here all of the time. And maybe, just maybe, we might want to change the rules in order to save American democracy.
Oh right, yeah, she was
Now,
trying to convince the chuds by saying like,
any of my other colleagues,
see, corporations that you simp for
I regard it
fucking
as a very
support
sad day
voting rights.
for our country. And I mean
Yeah,
this very
Best Buy.
sincerely, that not one Republican in this body is prepared to vote for this bill. Now, I
yeah, we know.
understand why that is the case. I am in politics. I got it. I know who the leader of their party is.
Yep.
But this I do
Donald
not
J.
understand. I
Trump.
understand Republicans, but this I do not understand. I do not understand why 2 Democrats who presumably understand the importance of the Freedom to Vote Act, and as I understand it, will vote for the Freedom to Vote Act, are not prepared to change the rules so that that bill could actually become law.
Wait, you can hear the sirens
That I do not understand.
that I was hearing?
If you think this bill makes sense,
The mic might have
and if
picked
you're
him up.
worried about the future of American democracy,
Dude,
and
that's
if you're
funny.
prepared to vote for the bill, then why are you wasting everybody's time and not voting for the rule change that allows us to pass the
Yes.
bill? You know, it's like inviting somebody
Fucking
to lunch
get
to a
'em,
great
dude.
spread and saying you can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to vote for the bill, vote to change the rules. Mr. President, if we can change the rules to prevent a default on our national debt,
Old school players and new school fools. I be
Supreme
goddamn
Court
it, they done
justices,
changed the rules.
we can certainly change the rules to save American democracy. Thank you.
Yeah! I don't have the yay fucking sound effect, or I'd do it right now. Alright, let's see. If that If somebody else is coming up and talking, I don't give a shit.
Senator from Georgia.
Yep, Georgia. All right, fuck this guy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, this asshole. Probably gonna say some stupid shit that's gonna piss me off, but...
Abraham Lincoln must be turning in his grave.
Yeah, he probably is. Because
to hear the senators from the Grand Old Party.
Yeah, the Grand... Oh, this is fucking awesome.
Abolition and emancipation and reconstruction. Echoing the states' rights
the Grand Old Party, I know.
Segregationists.
True.
To oppose federal voting rights legislation.
All right, I'm going to the store.
To oppose even the reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act.
All right. That's enough. We'll end it on fucking Bernie. I gotta go to the store, and then I'll be back in like an hour. I guess it's... I'll try to be back by 8:30. Might not be till 9. I don't know. If something interesting happens, I'll try to come back on while it's happening, but yeah, I gotta go to the store and still get some more what the fuck videos ready, but for the what the fuck Wednesday stream. So I don't know, if something interesting happens, I'll try to... I would like to see what Joe Manchin would say, because, oh man, he's fucking ridiculous. Unless live play on streaming. I don't know. Okay, well anyway. I don't need to look at that right now. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I'll be back in like an hour. And we will do the fun part of the stream. The fun part. Or what the fuck Wednesday streams and other. I have a bunch of chuds getting owned that we didn't get to from yesterday. Man, so many chuds been getting owned lately. It's so fun. So much fun. Alright. So, let me outro myself here. What are we gonna do? Yeah, so thank you for fucking being here, everybody. Fucking Hellbound, fucking LSD. I love you guys. And all right. I love you guys, and I will see you very soon. I'll be back in an hour, so peace out, everybody. Until next time, motherfucking trans rights, MB gang rise up. Fuck the police. Fuck 12. Fuck the chuds. ACAB, 1312, Black Lives Matter, Dark Gang, and love, homies. Alright, y'all. See ya in a little bit, cutie pies. Later. Later, Nellis D. Oh, shit. Here we go, some of my old punk music. Alright, let's go. be a friend with the rainbow and dreams of blue. Yeah. Alright, homies. Laters. Peace.